Sun Iran was not particularly conspicuous in the art department, where beauties were as common as clouds. The reason Cao Boyi knew her was because of Zhou Zixuan. In his previous life, he had often brought food and gifts to Zhou Zixuan, which inevitably meant interacting with her roommates. In Cao Boyi's memory, Sun Iran was just an extremely ordinary girl. How did she end up working in a place like this on the sly? She didn't seem to have any experience. She didn't even know how to dress herself up. "You stay, the rest of you can leave," Cao Boyi said, pointing at Sun Iran. Hearing this, a flash of panic instantly crossed Sun Iran's face, and she looked at Cao Boyi with pleading eyes. "No, please don't." The manager immediately interrupted her and warned her coldly. "Put away your petty temper and behave." After saying this, he led the other hostesses out of the private room. Sun Iran sat down beside Cao Boyi, timid and reserved, with her head lowered. "Tell me, how did you end up working here?" Cao Boyi asked with a smile, not touching her. My mother is sick, and I have a younger brother in high school. I had no other choice, so..." Cao Boyi pursed his lips. It was just as he had expected. A gambling father, a sick mother, a young brother, and a sensible daughter. However, looking at Sun Iran, she didn't seem to be lying. Cao Boyi didn't respond, instead pulling 10 bills from a stack of cash and distributing them to the girls present. "Everyone gets a share. As long as my brother is happy, there will be more rewards." "Thank you, boss. You're so handsome." The girls couldn't stop smiling, pressing against Cao Boyi and Lu Dian, their hands busy. Young, wealthy, handsome guys were rare. They had to put on a good performance later. Lu Dian ignored the conversation between Cao Boyi and Sun Iran, his attention entirely on the girls. The two girls were like miracle doctors, instantly curing Lu Dian's ailment. Thank you." Sun Iran carefully took the money and tucked it into her jeans pocket. It was her first day at work, and she hadn't expected to run into her classmate. She was both surprised and delighted. Cao Boyi was a famous heartthrob at school who was very generous. But she was also afraid that Cao Boyi would go back and gossip. If her classmates knew she was working a part-time job in a place like this, she would have no face left to stay at school. I beg you, don't tell anyone. I'm still clean. As long as you pay enough, I am willing to spend the night with you." Sun Iran looked at Cao Boyi with teary eyes. Her mother was bedridden and urgently needed money for surgery. Since she was already out here selling herself, what difference did it make who she gave herself to? Instead of being toyed with by those old men with yellow teeth, it might as well be her classmate. At least he was handsome, and the experience would be better. After all, it was her first time. No, I'm not interested in you." Cao Boyi shook his head and refused. Sun Iran looked decent, but she wasn't his type. Hearing this, a flash of despair crossed Sun Iran's eyes. Come to think of it, Cao Boyi was handsome, rich, and a prominent figure among the freshmen this year. How could he possibly be interested in her? Wait, she suddenly thought of something and asked tentatively, then, "I have a secret. Can I trade it for money?" "Of course not." Cao Boyi shook his head repeatedly. "Damn it, is she taking me for a sucker?" Sun Iran didn't give up and continued. "This secret has to do with you and Zhou Zixuan." "Zhou Zixuan? What about her?" Cao Boyi looked puzzled. Could that bitch be trying to take revenge on him? She and my other roommate, Fu Shou'er, are plotting how to frame you. Sun Iran recounted exactly what she had heard in the dormitory that day. Rich second-generation kids usually valued their reputation highly. She didn't believe Cao Boyi wouldn't be tempted. Fu Shou'er. Cao Boyi had a deep impression of this name. She was no simple character in his previous life. Because of her physical flaws, she didn't pursue music after graduation. Instead, she became very successful on the internet. It was said she had millions of followers on Rednote. After pondering for a moment, Cao Boyi pulled out 2,000 yuan bills and handed them to Sun Iran. "This is a reward. Your information is worth this much." 2,000 yuan was peanuts to Cao Boyi. Getting such a piece of information was definitely worth it. For the sake of Jiang wanting, Cao Boyi had originally planned to let that bitch Zhou Zixuan go for the time being. Who knew she wouldn't restrain herself and was instead lurking in the shadows, preparing to stab him in the back. While Cao Boyi was thinking about how to counterattack, Sun Iran spoke again. How about we make a deal? Let's hear it. Cao Boyi looked at her with interest. 20,000 yuan. Sun Iran held up 2 fingers and said, I'll be your mole, monitoring every move of Zhou Zixuan and Fu Shou'er, and report back to you at any time. 20,000 yuan? Cao Boyi was a bit surprised. 20,000 yuan was indeed not much to him. Teletechnology was hitting the daily limit repeatedly, and he could make over 400,000 yuan every day. Spending a little money to prevent being backstabbed was definitely worth it. After thinking for a moment, he agreed to Sun Iran's request. Money is not an issue, but how am I supposed to trust you? Cao Boyi looked at her with a half-smile. If this woman took the money and reneged, or told Zhou Zixuan and played both sides, he really wouldn't have a good way to handle it. I swear to heaven, I will do what I say. I don't believe in oaths. You need to leave me some leverage. Cao Boyi inherited Prime Minister Chao's hobbies, and also his caution. How about this? Come with me. Cao Boyi took Sun Iran into the private restroom attached to the room and took out his phone to record some evidence. Sun Iran didn't resist and cooperated honestly. She had already given up on herself, compared to selling her body to serve those old men. Leaving some leverage with Cao Boyi wasn't unacceptable. Time flew by, and the two didn't leave until 1 in the morning. The bill for this session was 8,000 yuan, all paid by young Master Liu. Outside Huiwang Entertainment, the two stood by the roadside waiting for a car, smoking. Cao Boyi asked with a smile, How was it? Felt pretty good, right? It was amazing. These girls were so enthusiastic. It must have been just like this for the emperors of ancient times. We should come often when we have the chance. It's just a bit expensive. Lu Jian waved his fist, seemingly still wanting more. His eyes had truly been opened tonight. He felt like he had lived in vain before. Brother, he really was his true brother. Not bad. Cao Boyi looked gratified, like an old father watching his son grow up. Come, hold out your hand and let me see. Hand? What's there to look at on a hand? Lu Jian was very confused, but still held out his hand and opened it. Cao Boyi took a glance, then immediately gave a thumbs up. Not bad, not bad. Your fingers are pale. It seemed Lu Jian had mastered the core gameplay of KTV. He was teachable. When Cao Boyi returned home, he discovered that the lights in the living room were still on. Walking closer, he saw Qin Meyer asleep on the sofa. A smile hung on her charming face, as if she were having a sweet dream. The tight, hip-hugging skirt that clung to her curves outlined her graceful figure. Below the hem of her skirt, her jade-like legs in black silk were naturally crossed, with a pillow tucked between them, displaying an air of alluring charm. Cao Boyi couldn't help but want to tease her, so he reached out and tickled the soles of her feet. What are you doing? Qin Meyer kicked her little feet around aimlessly, her sleepy eyes filled with a hint of haziness as she slowly looked at Cao Boyi. Cao Boyi replied instinctively, picking up the document bag on the table. Inside were the documents needed to register the company, organized in perfect order. It seems Qin Meyer's administrative ability is quite good. She is a capable woman. Inside are some application materials. Give me your ID card. And tomorrow we just need to find an office building to rent an office. And that should be about it. Qin Meyer said with a serious expression. Starting a company actually isn't complicated. The whole process only costs a few thousand yuan. Not bad, as expected of a graduate from a prestigious university. Your ability is truly outstanding. Once the company grows and prospers, you will be the #1 contributor. Cao Boyi did not spare any praise, while also painting a rosy picture for her. As long as you know it. Qin Meyer lightly lifted her chin, her proud and spoiled expression looking surprisingly cute. She pulled her legs in and pointed to the empty space beside her, saying, Come, sit over here. Cao Boyi didn't think much of it and sat right down. The two were sitting very close, and he could clearly smell the faint, natural fragrance emanating from her body. It was the scent unique to a virgin, elegant and enchanting. Qin Meyer looked at Cao Boyi with a scrutinizing gaze, as if she wanted to see right through him, remaining silent for a long time. Cao Boyi couldn't help it and urged, "Spit it out if you have something to say. You can know a person's face, but not their heart. You look quite handsome and proper, but I never expected you to be such a big pervert." Chiang Meyer nodded like a chick pecking at rice, a triumphant smile on her face. "What are you spouting? Be careful, or I'll sue you for slander." Cao Boyi was dumbfounded. What kind of madness was this woman acting out again? Still trying to quibble? "I think you won't shed tears until you see the coffin." Chiang Meyer took out her phone, unlocked the screen, and then opened the photo album to scroll through it. Cao Boyi's mouth twitched violently. He had almost forgotten about this incident himself. How did this crazy woman suddenly discover it? "You, why are you showing me this? You aren't trying to seduce me, are you? Seduce your head, keep watching." Chiang Meyer knocked Cao Boyi on the head and then played a video. It started from opening the bedroom door, then walking to the desk and pulling open the drawer, until finally, it revealed the black lace undergarment pressed under the books. The whole process was only 30 seconds long, filmed very clearly in one continuous take. It even remembered to pan over the awards on the wall and the student ID card on the desk with his name and photo printed on it. Sigh. I really didn't expect that a top student from Xiaonan University would secretly be a pervert who steals women's underwear. Chiang Meyer let out a long sigh, putting on an expression of regret. You wouldn't want your secret to be known by others, would you? If the teachers and classmates found out you had this kind of hobby, I'm afraid you'd be expelled, right? Ha ha ha. Chiang Meyer laughed unscrupulously, looking just like an unreasonable boss in a movie. "You, what exactly do you want?" Cao Boyi asked, gritting his teeth. This woman was truly his nemesis. He went out for a trip and returned home to find she had turned into a meek wife. Where could he go to reason with this? Chiang Meyer could barely suppress the corners of her mouth. Just as she had expected, Cao Boyi had no choice but to obediently submit. "I want you to listen to me from now on." "Listen to you?" "Yes, whatever I want you to do, you have to do it." Chiang Meyer put her hands on her hips, striking a pose that screamed, "I've got you." Since things had come to this, Cao Boyi could only choose to submit. He recalled how even Han Xian could endure the humiliation of crawling between someone's legs. What was this little grievance he was suffering compared to that? A real man knows when to bend and when to stretch. "Fine. I agree. Good, that's a good boy." Chiang Meyer dotingly patted Cao Boyi's head, feeling incredibly satisfied inside. She shifted her body and stretched her legs out, resting them on Cao Boyi's lap. "I've been walking all day, and I'm a bit tired. Give my feet a massage." Again, she wants to reward herself again. Cao Boyi had no reason to refuse, so he gently took hold of Chiang Meyer's calves, which were wrapped in silk stockings, and began to knead them gently. His technique was very professional, and with the bonus from his massage technique, Chiang Meyer soon felt the soreness in her legs slowly dissipating. The living room was very quiet, and the only sound was the rustling of fingers rubbing against the silk stockings. After a while, Chiang Meyer opened her half-closed eyes and commanded, "Turn around, there's one more thing I need you to do." Once Cao Boyi turned around, Chiang Meyer first stretched, then took off the black silk stockings from her legs and placed them on the sofa. "From today on, you are this young lady's servant, and you are responsible for my daily needs. Get up in the morning to make me breakfast, give me a massage after coming home from school, and you must also wash my clothes and hang them out to dry. Now go wash my socks. These socks are very expensive and can't be washed in a washing machine. You must wash them by hand." Hearing this, Cao Boyi only felt regret. If he had known it would come to this, he should have just let her wander the streets. He had brought a tyrant home. Seeing that Cao Boyi was slow to act, Chiang Meyer raised her eyebrows with some dissatisfaction. "What? You're not willing? Then don't blame me for being ruthless and exposing all those filthy things you did. Don't be impulsive. I'll go, all right." Cao Boyi hurriedly picked up the socks curled into a ball on the sofa and walked into the bathroom without looking back. Feeling the smooth, slippery sensation in his palms, he couldn't help but sigh that you really do get what you pay for. The feel of high-end silk stockings is indeed different. Cao Boyi turned on the faucet and focused on washing the socks. Cheen Meyer leaned against the doorframe, a triumphant, wicked smile on her face. Not bad at all. A man looks his most handsome when he's serious. Remember to get up on time tomorrow to make breakfast. Oh, right. Remember to find your ID card. This young lady still has to help you with your business tomorrow. After saying this, Cheen Meyer swayed her round, perky peach-like hips, and headed back to her room with a wiggle. In a great mood, she decided to properly reward herself. About 10 minutes later, Cao Boyi finally lay back down on his bed. Just as he closed his eyes and prepared to sleep, his phone rang. Ding dong, ding dong. Opening it to look, it was actually from Sun Iran. I've already arrived at the dorm, and I happen to hear Zhou Zixuan and Fu Shou'er discussing how to take revenge on you. They said, they really want to ruin my reputation. Cao Boyi couldn't help but sigh. That pair of scumbags was truly vicious. He hurriedly replied to Sun Iran. Use your phone to record their conversation word for word. Go buy a better voice recorder tomorrow. I won't treat you unfairly once it's done. Sun Iran replied quickly. Okay. Cao Boyi didn't act rashly. For clowns like these, he only needed to strike them head-on when they were up to their tricks. Just as he was preparing to sleep. Ugh! A faint, intermittent panting sound drifted from the room next door. As an experienced veteran, how could Cao Boyi not know what was going on? Su Shiji's aunt was actually a diligent miner. Early the next morning, after making breakfast for Cheen Meyer, Cao Boyi went to school. Today's training was similar to yesterday's. In the instructor's words, it was about laying a good foundation first. Cao Boyi acted as the assistant again, walking back and forth in the ranks to correct mistakes. Just as he was fully focused, the phone in his pocket suddenly rang. He caught instructor Li Yunlong's eye to signal him, then glanced at the screen, which displayed a call from Jiang Wanting. Cao Boyi's heart tightened. Auntie Jiang usually wouldn't call at this time. Something urgent must have happened. He pressed the answer button, and Jiang Wanting's tearful voice came from the other end. Little Cao, Zhou Tao came to my workplace to cause trouble. He said he won't let me go. I'm so scared. Cao Boyi Thou Wen. Zhou Zixuan's dad had an extreme personality. If he acted impulsively out of shame and anger. Don't be afraid, Annie. Find a safe place to hide first. I'll be there soon, Cao Boyi said, walking over to instructor Li Yunlong. Instructor Li, something came up at home. I need to take a leave of absence for today. No problem. Watch out for your safety on the road. Seeing his solemn expression, instructor Li Yunlong agreed without a second thought. After these few days of contact, he had been completely won over by Cao Boyi's excellence. Not only was he capable, but his conduct was also extremely low-key, humble yet confident, composed, and steady. Cao Boyi arrived at the school gate, hailed a taxi, and headed straight to Bada Plaza in the city center. On the first floor of the plaza was the Haolai cake shop. The pastries that had been neatly arranged were scattered all over the floor, creating a scene of chaos. Hurry up and hand over that bitch Jiang Wanting. Otherwise, I'll bring people here to wait, and none of you will be able to do business. Zhou Tao waved his fists and smashed the cashier counter, his voice loud enough to lift the roof. Several burly men stood at the entrance, blocking the shop door tightly. Sir, this is a public place. Let's talk things out properly. Don't affect our normal business operations. A man in a shirt, who appeared to be a manager, was arguing with him. It's easy for you to say. I hope you can speak this calmly when your own wife is cheating on you. After saying this, Zhou Tao waved to the entrance again. Everyone looked closely. The manager of this cake shop is my wife. Not only is she cheating on me, but she also brought a gigolo to beat me up. Zhou Tao pointed at his swollen face and accused her at the top of his lungs. Really? Is that true? Didn't you hear him? Her husband has already come to the door. Curious onlookers gathered around, holding up their phones. Cao Boyi was burning with anxiety and pushed through the crowd, ignoring the obstacles. The shop suddenly went quiet, and everyone looked at him in unison. Oh my, there really is a gigolo. He's quite handsome. No wonder. At this age, he probably just reached adulthood. Cao Boyi ignored them and rushed forward, slapping Zhou Tao on his already swollen face. I really gave you too much face. It seems the lesson from last time wasn't enough. Cao Boyi grabbed a strawberry mousse cake from the display case and slammed it on his Zhou Tao's head. Little Wang, come help. Zhou Tao raised his arms, trying to block the incoming slap. The young man at the door heard his leader's command and quickly called his companion. Both of them were burly and looked like good fighters. They were both Zhou Tao's subordinates, and having heard their leader was in trouble, they had volunteered to help. Get lost. Cao Boyi shot them a cold look, then immediately delivered a whip kick, knocking both of them to the ground. Where is Auntie Jiang? Cao Boyi looked at the young lady in uniform nearby. She's inside. The young girl gripped the corner of her clothes and pointed to the staff lounge on the left. Cao Boyi arrived at the door and knocked gently. Auntie, open the door. It's me, Cao Boyi. A moment later, the door was open a crack. Cao Boyi squeezed inside. Jiang Wanting was sitting cross-legged on the sofa, crying, her hair disheveled, her shoes missing, and her nylon-clad feet curled up together. Auntie, are you okay? Cao Boyi wrapped his arms around Jiang Wanting and gently held her small hand. A warm, soft sensation came through, and Jiang Wanting suddenly softened, her pretty face flushed with a crimson glow. I'm Fine. I've been hiding in here and didn't dare to go out. Jiang Wanting smoothed her hair, still somewhat shaken. Just a moment ago, Zhou Tao had suddenly rushed in with two men, holding a knife and saying he wanted to kill her. Fortunately, she reacted quickly and hid directly in the lounge. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Auntie, let me take you out of here first. Cao Boyi took Jiang Wanting's small hand and stood up to leave. Wait, Auntie's shoes seem to be missing. It's okay, I'll carry you out. Cao Boyi picked up Jiang Wanting by the waist, pulled the door handle, and walked out of the cake shop without looking back. Auntie, haven't you thought about divorcing your husband? Cao Boyi asked while gripping the steering wheel. I brought it up last night, and early this morning, he brought people over to cause trouble. Jiang Wanting clutched her chest. What had just happened still left her with lingering fear. She had long intended to end this marriage and had finally made up her mind, only to be met with Zhou Tao's refusal. It's okay, Auntie. The law stipulates that if you have been separated for more than 2 years, it counts as an irretrievable breakdown of the marriage. I'll accompany you to the court, then to file for divorce. Cao Boyi grabbed Jiang Wanting's hand, which was resting on her thigh, and squeezed it tighter. Feeling the soft texture of her stockings, Cao Boyi couldn't help but rub against it with the back of his hand. Jiang Wanting felt an itch, a strange, indescribable sensation. Little Cao seemed very interested in her legs, especially when she was wearing stockings. His eyes never moved away. Thinking of the underwear that had disappeared from the sofa, could it be? Jiang Wanting made a plan. She must have a good talk with Cao Boyi about this issue later. Adolescent boys have strong fantasies about women. Intimate apparel of the opposite sex often becomes an element in their fantasies. This is a common phenomenon in the psychological development process of adolescent boys. If not interfered with, it might develop into a fetish in the future or even lead them down a path of illegal crime. Since that was the case, she would take on this important responsibility herself. Cao Boyi parked the car, and the two of them went upstairs one after the other. What is going on? Jiang Wanting covered her small mouth, looking at everything in front of her in disbelief. She saw that the door lock had been destroyed, and the front door was wide open. The walls were covered in red paint with insulting words like bitch, slut, whore, and so on. Auntie Jiang, I'll go in and check the situation first. Cao Boyi told Jiang wanted to wait at the door and walked inside alone. The inside of the house was also in a mess. Clothes were scattered all over the floor, and the television had been smashed to pieces. After confirming there was no one else inside, Cao Boyi called out to the door, Auntie Jiang, you can come in now. It might be a bit messy inside. Even though she was mentally prepared, Jiang Wanting was still startled by the scene before her. Her originally cozy little home had been completely wrecked. There was no need to guess. It must have been Zhou Tao who did this. Jiang Wanting bit her lip tightly and forced a smile. I'm sorry. I've embarrassed myself in front of you. She bent down to start cleaning up the mess on the floor, but was stopped by Cao Boyi. Andy Jiang, we should move out quickly. What if he gets desperate and does something to hurt you? Hearing Cao Boyi say this, Jiang Wanting's heart skipped a beat. Zhou Tao had gone completely insane now. First he came to the house to cause trouble, and then he went to her workplace to make a scene. He might really do something extreme. Jiang Wanting was a woman, and her instinctive reaction to such things was fear. Fortunately, little Chao was with her. This boy, who was 20 years her junior, really gave her a sense of security. Cao Boyi rubbed his chin and then said, "How about this? Annie Jiang, you pack some clothes and we'll go stay somewhere else for now." I'll listen to you." Jiang Wanting nodded gently, looking like a delicate little woman. She certainly couldn't rely on her daughter. She might even side with Zhou Tao and blame her. She didn't have much of a social life and didn't have many friends, so the only person she could rely on right now was Cao Boyi. "Please wait a moment. Annie Jiang is going to go pack some clothes." Jiang Wanting walked barefoot into the bedroom and took out the suitcase from under the bed. The situation wasn't too bad. Although the clothes were scattered messily on the floor, they were still wearable. Cao Boyi squatted on the floor to help pack the clothes. I should do it myself." Looking at the stockings and undergarments scattered on the floor, Jiang Wanting said with a look of embarrassment. As a traditional woman, it was still a bit awkward to have these things seen by a young man. "It's okay, Andy Jiang." Cao Boyi waved his hand and nonchalantly picked up a pair of stockings and put them into the suitcase. Jiang Wanting was too embarrassed to keep stopping him, so she could only lower her head and organize the clothes. She would have to lecture Cao Boyi later. She couldn't let him go further down the wrong path. Before long, Cao Boyi carried the heavy suitcase downstairs. He first put the suitcase in the back seat, then thoughtfully opened the passenger door. Where are we going?" Jiang Wanting asked. Cao Boyi thought for a moment. Going to his own place was definitely out of the question. Chi Meyer was already hidden there. If he brought Annie Jiang back, that crazy woman might stir up some kind of trouble. Renting a place would take too long. "Let's go to a hotel." "A hotel?" Jiang Wanting subconsciously shifted her legs, and images of the two of them rolling around in bed uncontrollably popped into her mind. "Annie Jiang, don't misunderstand. You can just stay at the hotel for now and move once you find a new place." Cao Boyi quickly explained. Annie Jiang was a conservative woman, and their current relationship was far from the point of getting a room and sleeping together. Being too impatient would only lower her favorability toward him. Besides, the process was also a kind of enjoyment. Otherwise, with his financial strength, what kind of woman couldn't he play with for money? The car stopped in front of a nearby budget hotel. The two of them dragged their suitcase and walked in one after the other. With the way they held hands, they looked like a couple in the throes of passionate love. "Hello, I'd like a room." Cao Boyi placed his ID card on the front desk, along with Jiang Wanting's. The receptionist took the ID cards and gave the two of them a strange look. "A room with a queen bed?" "Yes." "Cao Boyi not dead." The receptionist operated the computer with the ID cards and, a moment later, handed over the key card. "Room 618 on the 6th floor. The elevator is on the right. Do you need condoms? We have a promotion recently. Buy one, get one free." Hearing this, Jiang Wanting's face flushed red instantly. Getting a hotel room with a boy 20 years her junior and being mistaken for having that kind of relationship. "Thanks, we don't need any." Cao Boyi took the key card and dragged the suitcase into the elevator. This hotel wasn't high-end, the elevator was a bit old, and the space was very cramped. The two were pressed together, and he could clearly smell the faint, natural fragrance of Jiang Wanting's body. It was the rich, fragrant scent unique to a mature woman, which smelled very pleasant, and Cao Boyi couldn't help but have a physical reaction. Jiang Wanting felt the same. That scent of a teenage boy's vibrant hormones made her feel itchy. Stepping out of the elevator and watching Cao Boyi swipe the card and open the door in front of her, Jiang Wanting's heart pounded nonstop, and her mind went blank. How did they end up in a hotel so inexplicably? It seemed as if everything just happened naturally. Walking inside, Cao Boyi thoughtfully turned on the air conditioning. The weather in Star City in September was very hot, with outdoor temperatures reaching over 30 degrees, and both of them were sweating quite a bit. Annie Jiang, you should take a shower first. It's not good to catch a cold going from hot to cold. Cao Boyi said thoughtfully. Jiang Wanting nodded. She was a woman who loved cleanliness and didn't like that sticky feeling on her body. But looking at the semi-transparent frosted glass, she felt a bit embarrassed and didn't know how to bring it up. Annie Jiang, I'm going downstairs to buy a pack of cigarettes. Open the door for me later, okay? Cao Boyi understood her tacitly and got up to leave. Watching the boys back, Jiang Wanting only felt a warmth in her heart. He really was a simple and sensible good boy. Compared to him, her husband wasn't even worth a fart. Jiang Wanting opened the suitcase, took out a skirt and stockings, and then cast her gaze toward the shoe box placed to the side. That was the Valentino Cao Boyi had given her last time. After hesitating again and again, Jiang Wanting still took out the high heels. Since little Cao liked to see her wearing stockings and high heels, then she would let him see them. Just consider it a reward for this thoughtful good boy, and also to thank him for his help all this time. About 20 minutes later, Jiang Wanting put down the hairdryer in her hand and opened the door. Sorry to keep you waiting, come on in. Cao Boyi, who had been squatting on the ground, stubbed out his cigarette and walked inside. He saw Jiang Wanting wearing a white t-shirt paired with a skirt that went past her knees, her straight, slender legs and flesh-colored stockings pressed together. The high heels added a touch of sexiness and charm to her, exuding a strong aura of a married woman. Cao Boyi couldn't help but swallow hard. Stockings and high heels were truly a great invention. Jiang Wanting tossed her loose hair and sat on the edge of the bed, saying softly, "Sit over here and have a heart-to-heart talk with Annie Jiang." The air conditioner emitted a faint humming sound, like a soothing lullaby, adding a sense of tranquility and comfort to the room. A 38-year-old mature woman and an 18-year-old boy were alone in the room. Jiang Wanting sat on the edge of the bed, remaining silent for a long while before speaking. "Boyi, can you tell Auntie what is on your mind?" "Oh, of course I can." Cao Boyi scratched his head. Could it be that Annie Jiang had discovered that he had accidentally taken her undergarments last time? With such a serious expression, she was definitely here to hold him accountable. He hoped this wouldn't affect the favorability he had worked so hard to build up. "How is college life going? Have you adapted to the new environment?" "It's pretty good, and I get along well with my classmates." Jiang Wanting asked with concern, but then her tone shifted. "Boyi, Annie knows you are a good kid. Is there something you are hiding from Annie?" "And no." Cao Boyi instinctively shrank back, secretly glancing at the solemn-looking Jiang Wanting. It seemed it was undoubtedly that incident. "Really? Then Auntie will just say it directly. The last time you went to Annie's house, did you secretly take something?" Jiang Wanting frowned, sighing earnestly. "Sigh. Annie knows you are in puberty now, full of vigor, and filled with fantasies about the opposite sex. But you cannot steal a woman's undergarments. This is bad behavior, and if you don't correct it in time, you will go astray." Jiang Wanting gazed at Cao Boyi, her eyes full of compassion, yet tinged with a hint of anxiety. She had even imagined the scene of Cao Boyi being handcuffed and taken away in a police car. "It is fortunate that you stole Annie's. If it were a stranger outside, they would have called the police. The police would certainly notify your school. What would you do if your teachers and classmates found out? Your future would be ruined." Hearing this, Cao Boyi gave a bitter smile in his heart. He was completely finished, and he thought he was a pervert. If he had known, he shouldn't have been so impulsive. Seeing Cao Boyi's uneasy appearance, Jiang Wanting became even more certain of her guess. But she didn't know what to do either. Take him to see a psychiatrist? A teenager in puberty has thin skin. Doing that would hurt his self-esteem too much. Suddenly, Jiang Wanting thought of an educational book she had read before. Blocking is not as effective as diverting, and diverting is not as effective as guiding. It seemed she needed to guide little Cao properly and break his fantasies about the female body. "Give me your hand." Jiang Wanting seemed to have made up her mind and commanded in a serious tone. Looking at her shy expression, Cao Boyi's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that to help me, Auntie is going to... Is the plot from the movies happening to me? Seeing that he didn't react for a long time, Jiang Wanting reached out and grabbed his wrist, placing it on her leg. Boy, are you interested in Annie's stockings? You can feel it and see what it's really about. Actually, these are just ordinary clothes for girls, and they don't have any special significance. If you like them, you can tell me. Never go stealing or doing illegal and criminal things. Cao Boyi couldn't help but swallow, his fingertips clearly feeling the delicate texture, soft and smooth. Desire erupted like a volcano, and his breathing became heavy. Cao Boyi could no longer restrain himself, and, like a bull, pounced on Jiang Wanting on the bed. And no, Jiang Wanting pushed hard against Cao Boyi, kicking her legs wildly, trying to break free from his restraint. However, deep down, she felt a slight loosening. She was also a woman who needed the nourishment of love. Ring-ding, ring-ding. The phone ringtone was like a basin of ice water, extinguishing the fire of desire in Jiang Wanting's heart. Boy, you can't do this. Let go of me. Cao Boyi was also startled by the sudden noise and pulled back abruptly. Jiang Wanting straightened her messy clothes and picked up her phone to see that it was a call from Zhou Zishuan. She made a gesture to Cao Boyi and then pressed the answer button. Hello, Mom. Where are you? Did you fight with Dad? Jiang Wanting looked at Cao Boyi on the bed, and a sense of guilt suddenly surged into her heart. She really was a shameless woman. She had almost just done that with her daughter's classmate, and now she was talking to her daughter right in front of him. However, while feeling guilty, she also felt a hint of excitement and thrill, as if they were having an affair. Jiang Wanting took a deep breath and said, feigning calmness, Yes, I'm going to divorce him. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone, and then Zhou Zishuan's excited voice came through. Wow, Mom, you finally figured out. Is it because you found a new boyfriend? When will you bring him for me to meet? If he buys me gifts, I don't mind calling him stepdad. It would be best if he could buy me the latest iPhone. The room was very quiet, and the conversation between mother and daughter was heard clearly by Cao Boyi. A bold idea popped into his head. He stepped forward, leaned to Jiang Wanting's ear, cleared his throat, and said, Ahem, hello. Zhou Zishuan's voice instantly rose several decibels, full of joy. Uncle, hello, hello. When will you have time to come over to the house? If you want to woo my mom, you have to pass my test. Nothing else. I'm hanging up. We'll talk later. Jiang Wanting was so startled she jumped, and she quickly hung up the phone. If her daughter found out that this so-called uncle was actually Cao Boyi, the classmate who had been chasing her for 3 years, there was no telling what might happen. After all, even TV shows wouldn't dare to write it like this. Little Cao, what kind of nonsense are you spouting? Jiang Wanting glared fiercely at Cao Boyi. The latter looked aggrieved. It was clearly Zhou Zishuan who wanted to find him and even asked him to buy her gifts. My fault? Hey, Auntie, shall we continue? Cao Boyi pointed to the messy bedsheets. Recalling the scene that just happened, Jiang Wanting only felt deep shame, her face turning red enough to drip blood. No, we can't do that kind of thing. It was Annie who was impulsive. You should just forget what just happened. Jiang Wanting clutched her hem tightly, like a child who had done something wrong. Although she had a good impression of Cao Boyi and was willing to try getting to know him. But everything happened too fast. She hadn't formally divorced her husband yet, and getting past her daughter would not be easy. A mature woman usually considers much more than a young girl. This was to protect herself and also to be responsible for the relationship. Then Cao Boyi lowered his head, his hands hanging by his sides, his face full of dejection. The kind-hearted Jiang Wanting still couldn't bear it. After all, everything that just happened occurred under her own guidance. Cao Boyi was a vigorous young man, and it was normal for him to make such moves. Wouldn't there be any problems if he stays pent up like this? Jiang Wanting frowned, a look of worry appearing in her eyes. She stood where she was, hesitating for a long time. Finally, she took a deep breath and, in a tone tinged with a hint of shyness, asked tentatively, How about we think of another way? A different way? Help you? Cao Boyi subconsciously glanced at her red lips. Jiang Wanting instantly understood what he meant, shaking her head like a rattle, her face full of bashfulness. Why is little Cao so naughty? He's so young. Where did he learn these tricks? What a little rascal. However, this only strengthened her resolve to help Cao Boyi. Boys nowadays are all precocious. It would be bad if he set his sights on other women. Cao Boyi lowered his head, his gaze landing on Jiang Wanting's long, straight legs clad in silk stockings. Auntie, could you play a game with me? Hearing the words play a game, Jiang Wanting froze in place, not expecting Cao Boyi to make such a request. While surprised, she also felt a sense of disappointment. Was she truly getting old? And did she hold no attraction for young people at all? Play a game. Jiang Wanting wiped the beads of sweat from her forehead and asked tentatively, "Is just playing a game enough?" "Yes. Auntie, please come over and play around with me." Jiang Wanting did not hesitate and sat directly on the bed. Her usual hobbies were reading books and listening to music. She knew absolutely nothing about games. Annie doesn't know how to play games, so please don't make fun of me if I play poorly. It's all right. Annie, I can teach you. A faint smile tugged at the corners of Cao Boyi's mouth as he pulled out his phone. Let's play the two-player version of Super Mario together. 30 minutes later, the game ended, and they had successfully cleared the level. Truth be told, Annie had quite a talent for gaming. Controlling Mario, she traversed jungles and overcame obstacles, ultimately rescuing the kidnapped Princess Peach. Auntie, thank you for your hard work. Cao Boyi walked out of the bathroom carrying a basin of hot water and placed it gently by the bedside. You go ahead and wash your feet to relax. I'm going to take a shower as well, and then we'll go out for lunch together. Okay. Jiang Wanting looked bashful as she carefully dipped her feet into the basin filled with hot water. The little rascal was very naughty and liked to fool around. But his nature wasn't bad. He was very thoughtful to bring her hot water. Once she was ready, Jiang Wanting changed into a new pair of silk stockings, then linked her arm with Cao Boyi's, and they headed out. The two arrived at a nearby commercial street, found a high-end restaurant, and walked in. Wearing high heels, Jiang Wanting was nearly 1.8 meters tall, looking a full head taller than Cao Boyi. This combination of a tall woman and a shorter man instantly attracted the attention of those around them. A young man, as if struck by a paralysis spell, stared unblinkingly at Jiang Wanting, muttering to himself, "Small pony, big cart." His girlfriend beside him immediately flew into a rage, her face pulling longer than a bitter melon, and her eyes practically spitting fire. Keep looking, and I'll gouge your eyes out." Under the guidance of the waiter, the two sat at table 6 by the window. Cao Boyi took the menu and handed it to Jiang Wanting, saying, "Auntie, see what you'd like to eat. This restaurant's specialty dish is braised chicken with abalone. Why don't we start with an order of that?" Jiang Wanting. Cao Boyi pointed to the picture on the menu. "This is abalone from Iwate Prefecture in Japan. The meat is firm, succulent, and juicy. It's one of the 3 most famous abalones in Japan." "Fine, let's have that." Jiang Wanting could barely listen anymore. What kind of suggestive language was this? She hurriedly urged him to stop. "Wait." She glanced at the price of 2,888 next to the dish and was completely shocked. While abalone was a relatively expensive ingredient, it shouldn't cost this much. If you bought abalone at the market and cooked at home, it would cost at most 100 yuan or so. The price of this single dish was almost equivalent to her monthly salary. "Little Chow, let's order something else. If you like eating abalone, Annie can make it for you. I guarantee it won't taste any worse than what you get here," Jiang Wanting said earnestly. Cao Boyi had already spent enough money recently. She really felt embarrassed to let him treat her to dinner again. If you don't have the money, don't come to a place like this to eat. Some people will really do anything to pick up girls." Su Shiji's mocking voice suddenly rang out. He was standing not far behind Jiang Wanting, eyeing Cao Boyi with disdain. Talk about a ghost that won't go away. Cao Boyi Shamauta Dwight. He hadn't expected to run into this idiot while trying to eat. However, He didn't intend to bicker with Su Shiji. After all, he was considered to be of the older generation, an uncle figure now. It wasn't worth getting worked up over children. Besides, this guy's aunt was still living at his place. Seeing that Cao Boyi ignored him, Su Shiji felt it was pointless and turned to leave. Just then, a crisp female voice came from behind them. "Mom, what are you doing here?" Zhou Zixuan recognized her mother's back at a glance, and then she looked at the man sitting opposite her mother. Cao Boyi, clatter. The milk tea cup in Zhou Zixuan's hand slipped, crashing heavily to the floor, and the brown liquid spread rapidly across the ground. She had just spoken to her mother on the phone a short while ago. How could she have run into her and Cao Boyi eating together? Could it be that uncle was Cao Boyi? An absurd thought flashed through her mind. No way. Zhou Zixuan shook her head. Once she calmed down and thought about it, this was simply an impossible scenario. How could her mother get involved with this little punk? Whether it was age or height, they were completely mismatched. Given her mother's conservative personality, how could she possibly do something so shameless? Besides, that uncle's voice earlier had been deep and gruff. It was absolutely not Cao Boyi's voice. Then, there was only one truth. Cao Boyi must still be harboring ulterior motives. So he switched to the mother-in-law route, trying to woo her by currying favor with her mother. How truly naive. Zhou Zixuan stepped forward, affectionately linked her arm with Su Shiji's, and lifted her chin. Cao Boyi, you can give up on that idea. I'm with Shiji now, and you are not allowed to keep harassing me. After saying that, she walked over to Jiang Wanting's side and warned her, Mom, stay away from this beast. Don't let yourself be deceived. This is all just his scheming and trickery. Su Shiji, on the other hand, looked embarrassed. He hadn't expected the person eating with Cao Boyi to be Zhou Zixuan's mother, his future mother-in-law. He stepped forward quickly and looked at Jiang Wanting apologetically. Auntie, I'm so sorry. I didn't know it was you. This is all a misunderstanding. This Cao Boyi is no good. You can tell at a glance that he's trying to set his sights on Zixuan. You must be careful. Upon hearing this, Jiang Wanting immediately became displeased. Cao Boyi's kindness was genuine. There were no flowery words, only actions. If one had to name a shortcoming of little Cao, it was his overwhelming talent for gaming. Moreover, strictly speaking, that couldn't even be considered a shortcoming. On the contrary, it was a strength. Jiang Wanting lowered her eyes, her expression revealing displeasure. Her daughter being so rude was going a bit too far. Zixuan, be polite when speaking to your classmate. Mom, he's just a liar. Zhou Zixuan stammered for a long time, but couldn't come up with a reason. Her mom must have been bewitched by Cao Boyi's sweet talk. Continuing to argue would be like talking to a brick wall. Zhou Zixuan glared fiercely at Cao Boyi, then immediately grabbed Su Shiji's arm and left. Jiang Wanting looked at Cao Boyi with an apologetic expression. Little Cao, I'm sorry. It's my fault as an auntie for not raising her well. It's all right, Annie. I won't lower myself to a junior's level. Besides, didn't you already compensate me just now? Cao Boyi waved his hand and interrupted with a smile. Hearing the word compensate, images of Super Mario involuntarily flashed through Jiang Wanting's mind. Little Cao was truly a little rascal, young but surprisingly well endowed. Waiter, 2 servings of abalone stir-fried chicken and one of all the other signature dishes. As Cao Boyi handed over the menu, the system's notification sound suddenly chimed. Ding, congratulations. Host target favorability has exceeded 60 current favorability. 61 reward. Genetic enhancement serum X1 node. After favorability exceeds 60, you may bind the next target. Please keep up the good work, host, and choose a target to bind as soon as possible. Cao Boyi took a deep breath. The progress on Annie Jiang had finally reached 60. It's just this reward. Genetic enhancement serum? Reporting to host, the serum can enhance physical functions such as strength, stamina, speed, and agility. It enhances cellular activity, increases metabolic efficiency, and boosts immunity. The host's bodily fluids will have special functions, beauty and skincare, delaying aging, accelerating wound healing. Cao Boyi slapped his thigh hard and nearly jumped out of his seat. This reward was better than any before. It was practically transforming him into a Superman. Even his bodily fluids had special functions. Perhaps he could even use them to help others and save lives. Suppressing his inner joy, Cao Boyi picked up the chicken leg from the clay pot and placed it in Jiang Wanting's bowl. "Annie, the abalone braised chicken at this place is really good. You should try the chicken first." As a local born and raised here, Cao Boyi had quite a bit of insight into the delicacies of Star City. In his previous life, under the guidance of Annie Mei Jing, he often came to this restaurant and had always kept this dish in his mind. Ding dong, the notification sound from the phone on the table suddenly rang out. Jiang Wanting picked it up to look, and her expression immediately stiffened. "Sigh, I'm afraid Annie is about to be unemployed." After that scene Zhou Tao caused, the company leadership decided to fire her from her position as store manager. Besides that, she also had to compensate for the company's losses. The pastries and equipment damaged in the shop added up to over 1,000 yuan. After all, Zhou Tao was still her husband in name. "It's okay, I'll support you," Cao Boyi said half-jokingly. He had only spent a few tens of thousands of the 1 million love fund given by the system. The remaining 900,000 plus was more than enough. I don't want you to keep me." Jiang Wanting pouted and said, "Annie has hands and feet. I can work for myself." "Ha! Annie doesn't just have hands and feet. You're also very flexible," Cao Boyi teased with a smile. Then he asked, "Auntie, why did you go to work at a cake shop?" He had always been unable to figure it out, given Jiang Wanting's figure and appearance, which were no less than those of a movie star. Why would she work at a cake shop as an ordinary assistant store manager? Jiang Wanting put down her chopsticks, folded her hands in her lap, and seemed to be reminiscing. Auntie graduated from a dance academy and used to work as a dance teacher at a training institution. Jiang Wanting rested her chin on her hand, her gaze seemingly traversing time and space, returning to those distant years. After becoming pregnant with Zhou Zishuan, she resolutely quit her job and became a full-time housewife. However, life is not always smooth sailing. Because of the shadow cast by the delivery room, cracks appeared in their relationship, and Zhou Tao had other women outside. After separating, she had forgotten most of her dance moves over the years and had to start looking for a job again. Clerk, sales, she had tried them all. But the workplace was not as simple as she had imagined. Because of her outstanding figure and appearance, Jiang Wanting often became a target of harassment by unscrupulous clients and leaders. Unable to endure it, she could only choose to go to the cake shop, spending her days with a group of young ladies. "Dance?" Cao Boyi raised an eyebrow, his eyes instantly lighting up as if he had discovered a treasure. He was a vulgar person, so naturally he couldn't appreciate dance. But he understood dance students. In his previous life, he had dealt with quite a few dance students. Like the splits. "Auntie, do you have any plans?" Cao Boyi asked with a smile. "I'll rent a new place for the next 2 days, then take it one step at a time. Buying a house might have to be postponed for a while." Jiang Wanting frowned, revealing a look of worry. She had finally saved up some money to buy a house, only to have her job lost because of Zhou Tao. The originally beautiful life was instantly ruined. Renting a house isn't a problem. It's just the work issue. Cao Boyi narrowed his eyes slightly, his fingers tapping rhythmically on the table. He wasn't short of money now. The balance in his stock account was growing every day, and there was still over 900,000 in his bank card from the love fund. He could completely support her without her needing to go out of work. But given her personality, she would never agree to it. "Auntie, leave the matter of renting a house to me," Cao Boyi said after pondering for a moment. Directly opposite where he lived now, there happened to be a vacant house. It would be better to let Auntie Jiang rent it, so they could become neighbors. Not to mention, it would be convenient for increasing favorability, and in his spare time, he could play the Super Mario mushroom stomping game. Just as the two were talking about finding a job, at a hot pot restaurant next door, Zhou Zishuan, Su Shiji, and the others were also chatting heatedly. Unlike the group of 4 from last time, this time there was a strange woman sitting beside Ji Budwan. The woman was about 25 or 26, with a beautiful face, tall figure, wearing a dark blue uniform skirt and black silk stockings wrapped around her legs. Her shirt was stretched tight, and on the right side hung a silver badge printed with the Mercedes-Benz three-pointed star logo. Sales consultant, Lu Qianqian. Let me introduce her to everyone. Ji Buduan poured beer into the glasses and introduced her with a smile. This is my girlfriend, Lu Qianqian. Please take care of her. Lu Qianqian and Ji Buduan came from the same small mountain village and were childhood sweethearts who grew up together. Ji Buduan had excellent academic grades and was admitted to the best university in the province, Xiangnan University, becoming the first college student in the village. Lu Qianqian didn't have a talent for studying. After graduating from high school, she followed Ji Buduan to Star City. Relying on her outstanding appearance, she worked as a salesperson at a Mercedes-Benz 4S dealership. The two rented a house near the school and lived together, living a very sweet life. Young Master Su, I'd like to propose a toast to you. Lu Qianqian was very good at handling social situations and stood up to toast Su Shiji. She had heard from Ji Buduan that this young Master Su was the son of a school leader and could influence her boyfriend's future prospects. We're all our own people. No need to be so polite. Su Shiji raised his glass, threw his head back, and took a big gulp of wine, his gaze inadvertently glancing at the slightly open neckline of Lu Qianqian. The snow-white skin was particularly dazzling under the lights, and the bottomless cleavage seemed to hide endless temptations. Qianqian and I have been together for over 6 years, and we plan to get married after graduation. Ji Buduan looked smug. Lu Qianqian had always been his pride and joy. Not only was her beauty not inferior to Zhou Zishuan's, but having struggled in the workplace for many years, she appeared even more confident. Sister-in-law, let me toast you another drink. Su Shiji raised his glass, his gaze drifting over Lu Qianqian's body. This woman was truly top tier, her curvaceous figure paired with that mature, commanding aura. What is Ji Buduan anyway, to be able to play with such a beautiful woman? Su Shiji's mind began to race. Lu Qianqian frowned, a flicker of imperceptible disgust flashing in her eyes. She had a very bad impression of Su Shiji. It was one thing that he kept staring at her lecherously. It was said that he was also a sinister and cunning person, and today's meal together was just to frame someone else. Although her boyfriend was also involved, she believed that Ji Buduan was forced into it. A child from the countryside without a strong background was nothing more than a tool in the eyes of these powerful people. Ji Buduan had no choice. For the sake of their future, he could only choose to collude with them. I must work hard and earn money. Lu Qianqian clenched her fists, cheering herself on in her heart. Ji Buduan didn't notice anything unusual at all, adjusted the black-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose, and asked with a smile, Junior Sister Fu, how is the copy prepared? I've pulled strings and found quite a few people. As long as the post is published, I guarantee it will hit the trending list within an hour and ruin that brat's reputation. Fu Shou'er patted her chest and guaranteed, I've already organized the chat logs with Zishuan. We can post them at any time. She and Zhou Zishuan had been busy all night yesterday, selectively taking screenshots of the chat logs where Cao Boyi was simping during high school. Su Shiji lit a cigarette and said with a gloomy face, No rush. Let him jump around for a few more days. When he is at the height of his popularity, that's when we make him fall from grace. Time flew, and it was soon 1:30. Cao Boyi simply decided not to participate in the afternoon's military training, and after dropping Jiang wanting off at the hotel, he returned home. The house was empty. Qin Meyer was not home. Cao Boyi sat on the sofa and took out the genetic enhancement serum from the system space. The serum was not for injection. It was in an exquisite glass bottle filled with a transparent liquid. Cao Boyi did not hesitate, brought the glass bottle to his lips, tilted his head back, and drank it all in one gulp. Gulp, gulp. The serum rolled down his throat like a ball of scorching fire, as if countless needles were madly pricking him. Cao Boyi's face twisted instantly, his hands clutching his throat tightly. A powerful energy instantly erupted within his body, impacting his internal organs. His body began to tremble uncontrollably, his bones rattled, and his skin became scorching hot. A moment later, the violent energy gradually became gentle, and his whole being felt as if he had undergone a rebirth. His five senses were enhanced. He could clearly see the specks on the television screen not far away, and his ears could clearly hear the chirping of insect from far outside the window. He clenched his fist tightly, his knuckles making a crisp sound, and a powerful force surged within him. He tried jumping, and to his surprise, he easily jumped to the ceiling before landing steadily back on the ground. So this is the effect of the genetic enhancement serum. After drinking a glass of water and calming his excitement, Cao Boyi went out again and came to the real estate agency near the residential complex. Cao Boyi got straight to the point. Are there any apartments for rent in Unit 3, building 1 of the Jingxiu Jiangshan residential complex? Wait a moment, let me check for you. The agent was a young man in his 20s with a professional smile on his face. Jingxiu Jiangshan residential complex was a high-end residential area, and there weren't many listings for rent. People who could afford to rent there had decent financial means and usually owned their own homes. Those who came out to rent often prioritized cost-effectiveness. Found it, Unit 606, Building 1, Unit 3. The agent searched on the computer for a long time. He didn't expect there to actually be an apartment for rent in Building 1, Unit 3. He sized up Cao Boyi and said awkwardly, "Handsome, apartments at the Jingxiu Jiangshan residential complex are not cheap. The monthly rent is 2,500. Price is not an issue." Cao Boyi waved his hand, not caring at all. "Why don't I take you to see the apartment first?" "No need. We can sign the contract now. But I have one request. When someone else comes to rent this apartment later, no matter the price, you must tell them it's 1,000 per month." Cao Boyi took out his bank card and placed it on the table. Based on his understanding of Jiang Wanning, she would not rent such an expensive apartment. To ensure he could be neighbors with Annie Jiang, he had to pay the extra amount himself. This amount of money was just a drop in the bucket for his 1 million yuan dating fund. Of course, no problem. The young agent was overjoyed. Signing a contract without viewing the property or asking about the price, such straightforward clients were rare. After signing the contract and paying the rent and deposit, Cao Boyi immediately called Jiang Wanning. "Auntie, I've already found you an apartment. Pack your things. You can move in within these next 2 days." "Zulfust." Jiang Wanning on the other end of the line was startled. Little Cao was truly too efficient. He had found an apartment so quickly. Fortunately, he wasn't fast in that regard. He had tossed and turned for a full half hour, making her feet sore. Jiang Wanning's face turned red unconsciously. "Okay, I'll come over to take a look right away." Hanging up the phone, Jiang Wanning began to pack her luggage. She didn't have many clothes, so there was no need to go back to her previous rented apartment. She would contact the landlord when she had time to pay for the damaged furniture. Thinking of this, Jiang Wanning couldn't help but have a headache. If Cao Boyi weren't by her side, she really wouldn't know what to do. She must reward little Cao properly. About 20 minutes later, Jiang Wanting drove to the entrance of the real estate agency. Looking at the surrounding environment, Jiang Wanting felt it was very familiar. Little Cao seemed to live here, right? "Auntie, come in quickly." Cao Boyi, who had been waiting for a long time, came over to greet her and introduced the nearby supermarkets, wet markets, and other living facilities to Jiang Wanting. Jiang Wanting nodded with satisfaction, but then a look of worry appeared on her face. In such a newly built residential complex with a beautiful environment and complete supporting facilities, the rent certainly wouldn't be low. "Little Cao, the rent here must be very expensive, right?" "It's not expensive. I've already negotiated with the agent. A 3-bedroom apartment for 1,000 per month." 1,000 a month? Stop teasing your auntie. Jiang Wanting frowned, her tone filled with a bit of suspicion. The 2-bedroom apartment she rented before, an old building without an elevator, cost 800 a month. How could she possibly rent such a nice apartment for 1,000? Fortunately, the young agent stepped forward in time and explained seriously, "Madam, this handsome young man is right. It is indeed 1,000 per month. The landlord is about to go abroad and is in a rush to rent out the apartment. After some smooth talking from the two, the naive Auntie Jiang completely dispelled the doubts in her heart. After taking a look and seeing that there were no issues with the apartment, the lighting was good, and the furniture was very new, Jiang Wanting immediately signed the contract and moved in. Cao Boyi took the key and inserted it into the keyhole. Auntie, we're neighbors from now on. Neighbors? Jiang Wanting subconsciously looked at the iron door of 605 next door. She originally thought they would just be living in the same residential complex. She never expected them to become neighbors separated by only a single wall. This made her feel surprised, but at the same time, a trace of worry arose. With little Cao, every day, time flew by, and a week of military training passed in the blink of an eye. Cao Boyi arrived at school, as usual. Just as he entered the school gate, he heard Lu Diane's voice from behind. Brother E, something terrible has happened. Has the master been captured by demons? Cao Boyi joked with a smile. No, for fuck's sake. Check the Tieba forum quickly. Something huge has happened. Lu Jin panted heavily, hurriedly taking out his phone from his pocket. The top 2 posts on the homepage, posted before last night, had bold, red-highlighted titles. The fake devotion persona of computer science department scumbag Cao Boyi. Chat logs versus reality contrast views. 7,948 replies. 99 plus last reply. Just now Cao Boyi took the phone and tapped into it. The post was very long, with both pictures and text. The original poster was named Insider, and their avatar was the default gray figure. The first sentence was, some people, they appear to be aloof male gods on the surface, but you haven't seen them kneeling and licking behind the scenes. Below were many pictures. The first one was a screenshot of chat logs. Zishuan, the weather forecast says it's going to rain, so I brought you an umbrella and left it at the entrance of the reception room. Zishuan, happy birthday. I asked your roommate to pass on your gift. I hope you like it. You haven't responded to me for 2 days. Did I do something wrong? The second picture was also chat logs. Good morning, good night. Have you eaten? Are you cold? Do you want me to buy you breakfast? As long as you need me, I am always here. The third picture was a photo. A male student was standing downstairs at the girls' dormitory, holding a cake box, looking up. It was a bit blurry, but one could recognize it was Cao Boyi. Scrolling down further, there were 2 videos. One was the video of Cao Boyi confessing to Jiang Wanting at the opening ceremony. The other was from military training, showing Cao Boyi angrily scolding Zhou Zishuan, and Zhou Zishuan looking pitiful. Below the post were several paragraphs of text. I'm the roommate of the person involved. I saw these chat logs by accident. At the time, I thought this guy was quite sincere and truly treated her well. Later I realized the more humble this kind of person is when chasing you, the more vicious they become after failing. Do you know what he did later? To take revenge on my roommate, he actually confessed to her mother in public, humiliating the auntie. During military training, he relied on his status as an assistant instructor to deliberately make things difficult and pick faults. Is this the male god in your eyes? I didn't post this for any other reason than to stand up for my friend, and by the way, to remind everyone to keep their eyes open so they don't get deceived. Cao Boyi scrolled down one by one. WTF? Is this Cao Boyi? Is it real or fake? I used to think he was quite handsome, but now. Hilarious. Turning hostile just because he couldn't get her. This type of guy is so classic. Suggest pinning this so more sisters can see it. Already forwarded to the bestie group. The words on the screen kept increasing, coming in one by one like a tidal wave. Simp, disgusting harassment, deserved it. All words of mockery and abuse. Cao Boyi's knuckles gripping the phone turned slightly white. Zhou Zishuan was far more sinister than he had imagined. In his past life, how could he have fallen for such a thing? Sliding the screen back to the homepage, a few new posts popped up. Rational discussion. The campus male god is actually a simp. This persona collapse is quite thorough. Girls help girls. Join forces to boycott the scumbag. Let's ruin his reputation. Cao Boyi returned the phone to Lu Jian and immediately logged into his own Chiaba account. Sure enough, his private messages were already 99 plus. He opened them and saw that almost all of them were insults. Prime Minister, Prime Minister? Lu Jian waved his hand in front of Cao Boyi's eyes, looking worried. What do we do now? If we let public opinion ferment, how can you continue to stay at school? I knew about this long ago. It was Zhou Zixuan who teamed up with Su Shiji to do this. Cao Boyi pulled a cigarette from his pocket, put it in his mouth, and said unhurriedly. Sun Iran had already told him in advance last time at the KTV. Although he was mentally prepared, he still didn't expect the other party to strike so ruthlessly. That Tang Fu shower, her talent for radical activism, was simply ahead of her time. Even 10 years later, she would still be ranked among the best. Su Shiji, that piece of trash again. Lu Jian clenched his fists tightly, the veins on his arms slightly bulging. I'll find some people to beat him up right now. After saying this, he picked up his phone, ready to call for backup. Wait, don't rush. Cao Boyi stepped forward, stopping his hand. If he found someone to beat up Su Shiji now, it would only confirm his guilt. Oh, I'm so anxious. How about we quickly post to clarify? I'll find a few brothers to help bump the post. Lu Jian paced back and forth, his steps rapid and urgent. Cao Boyi exhaled a smoke ring and explained unhurriedly. The old saying goes, a gentleman does not argue against slander. The more you explain, the more people will think you are making excuses. Some people don't even care about the truth. Their questioning is just to provoke you. In his past life, Cao Boyi had seen countless cases of cyberbullying. Victims were often eager to prove their innocence, but ended up making things worse. There is only one way to deal with this situation: produce ironclad evidence. Cao Boyi picked up his phone and dialed Sun Iran's number. Hey, how's the thing I asked you to do going? The other end was silent for a few seconds, followed by a low female voice. It's all recorded. They haven't stopped talking about this in the dorm for the past 2 days. I'm hiding in the bathroom right now, so it's not convenient to talk. We'll discuss the details when we meet. Cash on delivery. After saying this, Sun Iran hung up. Cao Boyi threw away his cigarette, but stomped on it a few times, and a curve formed at the corner of his mouth. He had always enjoyed dealing with people like Sun Iran. Human nature cannot withstand testing. Interests are the most solid foundation. As long as there are sufficient benefits, Sun Iran cannot betray him. Besides, he still had Sun Iran's secrets saved in his phone album. Let's go. Military training is about to start. Cao Boyi called out and strode toward the playground with a light step. Along the way, many people were whispering, and some even took out their phones to secretly take pictures. Did you see? That's that scumbag simp. He looks quite handsome, but I didn't expect him to be a beast in human clothing. Cao Boyi chose to ignore the disdainful gazes from the people around him. When the truth finally comes to light, these people will instead become the sharpest knives in his hands. Cao Boyi had just stepped into the 1st Battalion's formation when he instantly attracted a host of gazes. After a night of fermentation, everyone basically knew about that post, and quite a few people were even following the trend of cursing underneath it. Yo, isn't this the freshman male god? Su Shiji walked up, narrowed his eyes, and looked Cao Boyi up and down, his tone carrying a bit of contempt. The thrill of having a major grudge avenged and crushing an enemy with one's intelligence was simply too satisfying. So what if he can fight? He is nothing more than a simple-minded, brawny idiot. I, Su Shiji, have money and power. What do you have to fight me with? What? Is young Master Su's skin itchy again? Do you want me to loosen it up for you? Cao Boyi flexed his wrists, assuming a stance ready to hit someone. You, what are you doing? Su Shiji flinched violently and hurriedly took a step back in a panic. What happened at the opening ceremony had left him with an indelible psychological shadow. Nothing, just loosening up my muscles. Young Master Su wouldn't be scared enough to wet his pants, would he? Cao Boyi said with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. Su Shiji quickly realized his loss of composure, adjusted his posture rapidly, and gritted his teeth as he spoke. Don't just run your mouth. It won't be long before you become a rat crossing the street that everyone shouts to beat. Cao Boyi shrugged, directly ignoring Su Shiji, and walked straight into the formation. With so many eyes watching, naturally, he couldn't make a move. Let him jump around for a while. Once the evidence is in hand, he could deal with him properly. Of course, this also included everyone involved in this matter. After the morning training ended, Cao Boyi first went out to grab a meal at a restaurant with Lu Dian. Afterwards, he made a phone call to Jiang Wanting, asking her to accompany him to a Mercedes-Benz 4S dealership. Teletechnology had hit the daily limit for several days in a row, and the balance in Cao Boyi's securities account had also soared to 6.75 million. It was time to buy a car of his own. Otherwise, having to take a taxi everywhere was ultimately not very convenient. What car should he buy? After much consideration, he decided to buy a Mercedes-Benz to drive around. Before long, a Corolla pulled up at the school gate. Jiang Wanting rolled down the car window, her eyes carrying a hint of urgency. "Little Cao, hurry up and get in." Originally, she hadn't wanted to come. After all, her daughter was also studying here, and if she happened to see them, she really wouldn't know how to explain it. If Zhou Zixuan saw her mother hanging out with her classmate all day, she would probably go crazy, right? "Little Cao, you won't mind, will you? I don't want Zixuan to know about us too soon." Wait until the time is right to tell her." Jiang Wanting bit her red lips tightly, her eyes filled with a hint of pleading, fearing that Cao Boyi might feel uncomfortable. "It's fine, Annie." Cao Boyi smiled faintly, and then added, "You don't have to take it too much to heart. Although you are Zhou Zixuan's mother, you are also a complete person with the right to pursue happiness. You shouldn't always consider others, or even live for others." Cao Boyi's voice was very magnetic, and every word seemed to carry magic. Jiang Wanting felt a sense of sudden enlightenment. It was as if she had lived these past years in vain. She had played many roles in life, but had never thought about living for herself. "Little Cao, thank you. Auntie is very happy to know you." Jiang Wanting's gaze fell unconsciously on the boy's face beside her, her eyes filled with tenderness. Her body seemed to be drawn by an invisible force, slowly moving towards Cao Boyi until the distance was close enough to feel each other's breathing. She closed her eyes slightly and kissed Cao Boyi on the lips. "Ding, congratulations to the host, Jiang Wanting's favorability +10. Current favorability 71. Please keep up the good work, host." The system's notification sounded in his mind, but at this moment, Cao Boyi couldn't care about that much. The two were pressed together, and it was inevitable to smell the scent emanating from the beautiful mature woman's body, a faint fragrance mixed with a light scent of sweat. Cao Boyi instantly became fully stimulated. "Little Cao, no, can't do this." Jiang Wanting noticed the anomaly, and her face turned red instantly. 18 really is an age where hormones explode. "Auntie, I'm so uncomfortable." Cao Boyi gritted his teeth, looking as if he were wearing a mask of pain. Young girls are captivating, mature women are soul-stirring, and aunties are both captivating and soul-stirring. "Boy, are you okay?" Seeing Cao Boyi's painful appearance, Jiang Wanting couldn't help but blame herself. If it weren't for her, why would little Cao be in such pain? No, it couldn't just end like this. If he ended up with some problem from holding it in, she would regret it for the rest of her life. "Boy, how about we go home? We'll be seen by others here." Jiang Wanting turned her head and asked tentatively. Ever since she played the mushroom stomping game with Cao Boyi yesterday, she had simply let go completely. No need. Keep driving to the Mercedes-Benz 4S dealership." Cao Boyi grabbed Jiang Wanting's right hand and placed it on his leg. "Annie, I haven't driven a manual transmission car before. Why don't you teach me how to shift gears?" Jiang Wanting transformed into an instructor, coaching Cao Boyi on driving techniques along the way. 20 minutes later, the car stopped steadily at the entrance of the 4S dealership. As soon as they entered, a salesperson came up to greet them. "Hello, sir. Do you have an appointment?" "No, just take me around to look." Cao Boyi responded with a smile, his gaze falling on the name tag on the right side of the woman's shirt. Sales consultant Lu Qianqian. Mercedes-Benz truly lives up to being a luxury brand. The sales staff are all incredibly beautiful. Lu Qianqian was dressed in a well-tailored professional suit, black silk stockings paired with high heels, exquisite makeup, and her hair was tied up meticulously. Miss, may I ask where the restroom is? Jiang Wanting hid her hands behind her back and asked awkwardly. Little Chow was really too mischievous, scribbling all over her hands. Go straight ahead for 30 meters, then turn right, and it's there. Lu Qianqian pointed not far away, then immediately poured 2 cups of tea. Thanks. Cao Boyi reached out to take it, inevitably touching Lu Qianqian's delicate, jade-like hand. The showroom was decorated very luxuriously, with incandescent lights illuminating the entire space. The light focused on the car bodies. Jiang Wanting had never imagined she would step into a Mercedes-Benz 4S dealership. Such luxury cars were an unreachable existence for her. This car is so beautiful. Jiang Wanting sat in an E300, excitedly gripping the steering wheel. This model is the top trim E-Class, featuring black leather seats, paired with wood grain trim, equipped with a 2.0T turbocharged engine, with a maximum horsepower of 245. Lu Qianqian wore a professional smile, explaining patiently without the slightest impatience. Although she didn't really think the two would actually buy a car, it was just a mother bringing her son to see the world. Cao Boyi sat in the passenger seat to experience it, and it was indeed quite good. He subconsciously rested his hand on Jiang Wanting's silk-stockinged leg and asked, turning his head, "Beautiful. How much is this car on the road?" Lu Qianqian's pupils shrank. The relationship between this handsome young man and the mature woman didn't seem to be what she had previously thought. The full cash price on the road is $600,000, including 3 free maintenance services, plus full coverage floor mats, solar film. Swipe the card. I won't haggle. Give me 2 more maintenance services and upgrade the solar film. I want the darker kind, where you can't see inside from the outside. Privacy is still very important. After all, a car isn't necessarily just for sitting. Cao Boyi handed over his bank card lightly. Okay. Lu Qianqian was completely stunned. She had worked at the 4S dealership for over 2 years, and this was the first time she had seen such a big spender. After all, even for rich people, money doesn't just blow in on the wind. Can I pick up the car today? Of course, I will process the paperwork for you immediately. The smile on Lu Qianqian's face became even thicker, and she walked to the office area to print the contract on her long, silk-clad legs. She would tell Ji Budwan about this later and go out for a meal tonight to celebrate properly. P.S. This woman Lu Qianqian will have some wild operations later, so stay tuned. Inside the 4S dealership contract room, Cao Boyi sat on the sofa, watching Lu Qianqian busy herself. This woman was beautiful and efficient, especially those perky buttocks, swaying slightly with her movements, outlining alluring lines. Lu Qianqian's looks and figure naturally couldn't compare to an exquisite beauty like Jiang Wanting, but in a crowd, she would definitely be eye-catching, especially that capable temperament from long-term office work, which added a bit of charm to her. Mr. Chow, you just need to sign this contract, and the temporary license plate can be processed immediately. Lu Qianqian found a pen and respectfully placed the contract in front of Cao Boyi. Glancing at Cao Boyi's face inadvertently, she realized this young man was far younger and more handsome than she had imagined. Could he be a kept boy by that beautiful lady? Lu Qianqian couldn't help but be curious, but quickly dismissed the thought. From beginning to end, that lady didn't express an opinion, and it was Cao Boyi himself who swiped the car to pay, and the car was also registered in his name. Despite being full of doubts, Lu Qianqian still suppressed her curiosity. Prying into a customer's privacy was a big taboo. No problem. Thank you for your hard work, Miss Lu. Cao Boyi smiled, picked up the pen, decisively signed the contract, and simultaneously opened the system. Name, Lu Qianqian. Age, 25. Height, 165. Weight, 52 kilograms. Figure, 91. Looks, 89. Dating history, 1 comprehensive rating, 89 favorability. 26 the rating is on par with Tang Weiwei. It seems the service industry has high requirements for appearance. Cao Boyi couldn't help but sigh. After signing the contract, he finished swiping the card. He refused the flashy car delivery ceremony. It was just a commuter car. No need to make a big fuss. When Cao Boyi sat in the driver's seat and prepared to start the car, Lu Qianqian approached again. Mr. Cao, would it be convenient to add your contact information? If you have any problems, you can contact me at any time. If you have friends who need to buy a car, you're also welcome to consult me. Lu Qianqian bowed slightly, and that flash of fair skin made Cao Boyi's eyes ache. This was also a powerhouse that one couldn't grasp with one hand. Terrifying. Cao Boyi did not refuse and opened the QR code to add her on WeChat. It wasn't that he was plotting against Lu Qianqian. He just thought it would be more convenient for future maintenance and car usage. Watching the Mercedes-Benz drive away, Lu Qianqian stamped her feet in excitement. The commission for this order was almost comparable to selling an S-Class, and the whole process took only 30-something minutes. Without hesitation, no bargaining, such a generous customer was really rare. She couldn't help but feel a bit more favorable toward Cao Boyi. The sales industry was far from as glamorous as it looked. One had to deal with different people constantly. There were all kinds of weirdos, and some self-righteous old men hinted at keeping her, but they were all rejected. Lu Qianqian unlocked her phone and excitedly called Ji Buodwan. Hey, honey, what are you busy with? The performance was good today. Are you coming back for dinner tonight? I'll go to the vegetable market to buy 2 dishes to celebrate properly. Ji Buodwan's voice came from the other end of the phone. The environment was a bit noisy, and he seemed to be busy. Dear, I'm having a meeting at the Institute. I might be home late. Thank you for your hard work. Moi, I love you. A sweet smile appeared on Lu Qianqian's face. It's okay. Honey, you go ahead and get busy. I'll send you a message when I get home. I love you too. After hanging up, Lu Qianqian sat on the sofa, savoring the sweet words just now. She loved Ji Buodwan too much. That kind of love had been tested by time. The two had known each other since childhood, for over 20 years now. In her eyes, Ji Buodwan had always been an omnipotent existence, motivated and with excellent academic grades. Ji Buodwan's family was very poor. His parents passed away early, and he lived with his grandparents in a dilapidated small wooden house. But Lu Qianqian still loved him without hesitation and came to Star City with him to work hard, all for the sake of having a better future together. After leaving the 4S dealership, Cao Boyi first sent Jiang wanting home, and then contacted Sunaran. Inside a coffee shop far from the school, Cao Boyi ordered 2 iced Americanos and 2 portions of mousse cake, then sat in a chair and waited. Before long, a bright figure walked in. Sunaran was wearing a white t-shirt with a slightly wrinkled collar, paired with jeans and no makeup on her face, looking very simple. Sit down, try the coffee and snacks at this shop. Cao Boyi raised his hand and pointed to the opposite side. Sunaran said thank you, picked up the coffee cup on the table, and took a sip. It's too bitter. Life is already bitter enough. Is there any sweeter drink? Cao Boyi smiled, then immediately called the waiter and ordered a cup of milk tea. Here, this is what you wanted. Check it. There shouldn't be any problems. Sunaran took out a black voice recorder from her pocket and placed it in front of Cao Boyi. Cao Boyi picked up the recorder and pressed the play button. The voices of Zhou Zixuan and a rough female voice came from inside. Zixuan, the copy is all done, and the chat logs have been carefully selected. This time, Cao Boyi will definitely not be able to turn things around. Thank you, Fu Shou'er. I will reward you well after this is done. How was the preparation on young Master Su's side? And Chairman Ji, they promised. Don't worry, it's all under control. Hearing this, Cao Boyi couldn't help frowning. Who was Chairman Ji? Could it be Ji Buodwan from the student union? No wonder he saw this guy acting sneakily on the first day of military training. It turned out he had colluded with Su Shiji. Doesn't matter who he is, I'll just handle them together. Cao Boyi picked up a piece of cake and chewed it unhurriedly. Ji Buodwan had done many bad things in his previous life, colluding with off-campus black online loan sharks for money. He still remembered many of the victims' names. At worst, he would expose this matter in advance and completely resolve this trouble. As for Su Shiji, the biggest trouble might be his mother, the beautiful and moving Director Qin Wenmin. However, there was no need to deal with Director Qin Wenmin directly right now. Firstly, he didn't have any dirt on her. Secondly, Qin Meyer was barely considered his employee, so he still had to give her some face. Right? Cao Boyi suddenly thought of the reward the system had given earlier, big investigation, which had not been put to use yet. If Director Qin Wenmin was involved, he could use big investigation on her. He would properly check if Su Shiji's mother had engaged in tax evasion. If there was a lot of tax evasion, then don't blame him for being impolite. You continue to help me keep an eye on Zhou Zishuan and record all the conversations between her and Fu Shou'er. There will be a reward after this is done. After giving instructions, Cao Boyi left an old residential complex near Xiangnan University. The stairwell was dimly lit, and the walls were plastered with various small advertisements, ranging from room rentals to drain unclogging services. Tap, tap, tap. Lu Qianqian carried her shopping bags upstairs, the rhythmic click of her high heels against the floor creating a pleasant sound. Lu Qianqian stopped on the third floor, took out her keys from her bag, opened the door, and walked inside. The room wasn't large, a 40-square-meter studio. A large bed sat against the wall, covered with light blue sheets. The furniture was a bit old, but it had everything they needed, giving the place a cozy feeling. This was the little nest she shared with Ji Budwan. Lu Qianqian kicked off her high heels, slipped into a pair of white slippers, and walked into the partitioned kitchen to start getting busy. She first cleaned the fish, made a few cuts along its body, and marinated it with salt, cooking wine, and ginger slices for a while. Then, she shredded the pork and green peppers and stir-fried them together in the pan. Lu Qianqian was pretty and had good cooking skills. Perhaps this was what people often meant by children of poor families grow up early. Her family situation wasn't much better than Ji Budwan's, so she had learned to do laundry, cook, and manage household chores from a young age. Before long, the kitchen was filled with an enticing aroma. Steamed sea bass, shredded pork with green peppers, tomato and egg soup, braised pig's trotters. Just as the last dish was placed on the table, a knock sounded at the door. Lu Qianqian hurried over to open the door and saw Ji Budwan standing there with a tired yet warm smile on his face. "Honey, come in and eat." Ji Budwan walked into the room and saw the table filled with his favorite dishes. His eyes grew a little moist. To have such a virtuous woman was truly a blessing he had cultivated in his past life. The warm yellow light shone on her face, making Lu Qianqian look even more beautiful and moving. Ji Budwan stepped forward, gently hugged her, and whispered in her ear, "Wife, you've worked hard. Thank you for everything you've done for me. It's nothing, come sit down and eat." Lu Qianqian said with a smile, then went to the kitchen to serve the rice. The two sat at the table and began to enjoy their cozy dinner, chatting idly. "Honey, what exactly is the background of that young Master Su? He doesn't look like a good person. When we were eating at noon today, he kept staring at me lecherously." Hearing this, Ji Budwan was stunned for a moment, a flash of anger crossing his eyes, but he quickly suppressed it. His hand tightened on his chopsticks. He picked up a piece of tomato and chewed it mechanically. That animal Su Shiji actually dared to set his sights on his girlfriend. Ji Budwan forced a smile, pretending that nothing was wrong. Is that so? Could you have mistaken him for someone else?" Su Shiji is the only son of Director Qin from the Student Affairs Office. His family is very wealthy. He is a bona fide second-generation rich kid. Ji Budwan looked a lot like the Tokyo cuckold king, Yoichi Matsumoto, with his thin, angular face, slightly messy center-parted hair, and glasses. They looked like they had been cast from the same mold. Their personalities were also somewhat similar. Both were exceptionally good at enduring things. Really? Could I have been overthinking it? Lu Qianqian blinked her large eyes, always feeling that something wasn't right. "Yes, hurry up and eat, or the food will get cold." Ji Budwan hurriedly changed the subject. He was a real man. How could he possibly tolerate his girlfriend being eyed by someone else? but he had no choice but to endure it. Over the years, he had long seen through the rules of society. What good was reading so many books? In the eyes of the powerful and influential, he was nothing more than a stray dog. If he could cozy up to Su Shiji now and establish a connection with director Qin Wenmin, he might successfully become the student union president and perhaps even secure a teaching position at the university in the future. He had to rely on his own abilities to climb up, step by step. Sigh. Lu Qianqian sighed softly, frowning as she said, I think it's best to stay away from that Su Shiji. Having lived together for so many years, Lu Qianqian knew Ji Buduan's personality like the back of her hand. It was an ambition bordering on extreme paranoia. To escape poverty and rise in social class, he was capable of using any means necessary. Don't worry, I'll be careful. Ji Buduan adjusted his glasses and then took a bank card out of his pocket. I've been doing some small business with a few senior students lately. There are 20,000 yuan in here. It's this month's dividend. 20,000 yuan in dividends? Lu Qianqian's hand trembled, and her chopsticks fell to the floor. As a luxury car salesperson, she worked herself to the bone and only made about 10,000 yuan a month. What kind of business was Ji Buduan doing? He could get 20,000 in dividends just by staying at school? Lu Qianqian was suddenly a bit panicked. Honey, you haven't done anything illegal, have you? Money is fine as long as you have enough. You must not do anything stupid. Lu Qianqian became more anxious as she spoke. She didn't have strong material desires. She was already satisfied just having a cozy little home and living a simple life. How could that be? Don't worry, this money is clean. It's all money your husband earned with his own ability. Ji Buduan said solemnly. He really hadn't done anything. He had just introduced 10 classmates who were short on cash to Brother Biao last month. This 20,000 yuan was the commission Brother Biao rewarded him with. It was entirely earned by his own ability. Seeing that Ji Buduan didn't seem to be lying, Lu Qianqian felt a bit more at ease. She carefully took the bank card, stood up, and went back into the room. Honey, I'll save this money for now, and we can use it to buy a house when we get married after you graduate. I've been working for so long, and I've saved up several tens of thousands too. We should be able to scrape together a down payment by then. A sweet smile hung on Lu Qianqian's face, as if she were full of expectations for their future. Don't worry, wife. After I help young Master Su take care of Cao Boyi, the position of the next student union president will definitely be mine. Ji Buduan said passionately. Cao Boyi? That name sounds a bit familiar. Lu Qianqian suddenly snapped back to reality. Wasn't Cao Boyi that handsome young guy who bought an E300 from her this afternoon? The person her boyfriend wanted to deal with was actually him? But Cao Boyi didn't look like a bad person at all. Lu Qianqian hurriedly asked, This Cao, whatever his name is, how did he provoke you? He didn't provoke me. Ji Buduan put down his chopsticks and said indifferently, but he provoked young Master Su. This kid is promiscuous, bullying female students at school, and on top of that, he beat up young Master Su. Ji Buduan painted Cao Boyi as a devil who stopped at nothing. Huh? Is he really that kind of person? Lu Qianqian widened her eyes, looking as if she had seen a ghost. This was completely different from the humble, polite, and gentle image of Cao Boyi in her impression. What? Do you know this kid? Ji Buduan asked suspiciously. No, it's my first time hearing this name too. Lu Qianqian hurriedly shook her head, not mentioning that they knew each other. She opened WeChat, looked at Cao Boyi's profile picture, and her finger hovered over the delete contact button. After hesitating for a long time, she still didn't press it. Perhaps all of this was just a misunderstanding? After dinner, Lu Qianqian and Ji Buduan sat on the sofa watching TV. A buzzing phone ringtone suddenly sounded. Lu Qianqian swiped open the screen. It was actually a message from Cao Boyi. Cao Boyi. Hello, Ms. Lu. May I ask how to activate the cruise control feature? Lu Qianqian paused, then replied. After the vehicle speed reaches 40 kilometers per hour, press the cruise button on the steering wheel. Cao Boyi. Sorry to bother you, thank you. Just as Lu Qianqian was about to put down her phone, the notification sound rang again. It was a red packet sent by Cao Boyi with "Thank you for your hard work" written on the cover. Lu Qianqian did not accept it, but replied, "You're welcome. This is all part of my job." Mr. Cao is truly generous and polite. He doesn't seem as wicked as Ji Budwan described. Meanwhile, Cao Boyi drove the new car around a few times with Jiang Wanning, then drove back to the school. He parked the car at the school gate and immediately called Lu Jian, arranging to meet him there. Shortly after, Lu Jian walked out, followed by two boys in camouflage uniforms. They were tall and burly, looking like classmates from the physical education department. Cao Boyi rolled down the car window and waved. "Jianzi, over here." Lu Jian took 2 steps in one, excitedly reaching the side of the car, his gaze locked onto the 3-pointed star emblem standing on the hood, unable to look away for even a second. Brother, you've really made it. You're even driving a Mercedes-Benz now." Lu Jian gently stroked the car body, his eyes shining with excitement. "Get in the car quickly," Cao Boyi urged with a smile. Lu Jian glanced at his companions behind him, who were equally shocked, and then gave Cao Boyi an inquiring look. "Are they reliable?" "Of course, they're all my good brothers." "Then get in together." Having received Cao Boyi's permission, the 3 of them sat in the back row together. The back row of the C-Class sedan was spacious. 3 grown men sitting side by side wouldn't feel crowded. Cao Boyi turned his head, looked at Lu Jian, and instructed, "You have many friends in school. Can you help me find a few people?" Shen Xia, Song Feifei, Wang Jianchao, Tian Lulu. Cao Boyi rattled off several names in one breath. These people were all students who had been entrapped by Ji Budwan into taking out illegal online loans in his previous life. Of course, no problem. Lu Dian's body jolted, and he instantly perked up. As the Prime Minister's most capable right-hand man, he felt duty-bound to handle such a small matter. "We can help too," the 2 boys from the physical education department said in unison. They had a good relationship with Lu Jian. They were on the same training team before the college entrance exam and had known each other for a long time. They had often heard Lu Jian bragging about how awesome and impressive his brother Yi was. Seeing it today, he really wasn't an ordinary person. He was driving a top-trim Mercedes-Benz E-Class just after starting college. In this era, a Mercedes-Benz still carried significant weight. Ordinary people absolutely could not afford such a luxury car. Both of them also had the idea of hanging out with Cao Boyi. "What are your names?" Cao Boyi asked, looking them over with a faint smile. The guy with the crew cut spoke up first. "Brother, my name is Wang Bin. I do track and field." The other one, who was slightly taller at nearly 1.9 meters with a buzz cut, followed closely. "Brother, I'm Liang Feng. I play basketball." "Not bad. Then I'll have to trouble you two to cooperate with my brother to find these people." Cao Boyi nodded in satisfaction, then patted both of their shoulders. He was currently in need of people, and if these 2 were reliable, he wouldn't mind bringing them along to make some money. Physical education students had quite good physical fitness. They basically wouldn't be at a disadvantage if they got into a fight. "So, shall we go find them now?" Lu Jian couldn't wait any longer and made a move to get out of the car. Cao Boyi waved his hand and took 2,000 yuan out of his bag. "Take the money and take these 2 brothers out for a good meal." No need, I have money." Lu Jian shook his head like a rattle drum, refusing to take the money no matter what. Cao Boyi had given him half of the money he extorted from Lin Xiaodong last time, so he wasn't short of money at all. "Take it when I tell you to. Why are you dawdling?" Cao Boyi tossed the money directly at him, not giving him a chance to decline. It was just a little pocket change. It was perfectly suited for buying over Wang Bin and Liang Feng. Watching the backs of Lu Jian and the other 2 as they walked away, Cao Boyi rolled up the car window and opened his phone to check the Tieba forum. Compared to the morning, there were even more posts attacking him, and several had hit the hot search list. 10,000 people petition, "Boycott the scum, Cao Boyi." Cao Boyi's hypocritical mask. On the self-cultivation of an Oscar-level scum expose. Scum suspected of having AIDS. The rumors were becoming more and more outrageous. Some even claimed they had been sexually harassed by Cao Boyi and had received nude photos from him. Besides that, several high-level accounts stood out to stir the pot, claiming they would report him to the school to have him severely punished. All of this was Ji Budwan's masterpiece. As the vice chairman of the student union, he had too many resources at his disposal. The next day at noon, inside a high-end restaurant near the school, Su Shiji and a few others gathered to have a victory celebration. After 2 days of public opinion fermentation, Cao Boyi had completely become a rat crossing the street, pointed at wherever he went. "Come on, everyone, cheers." Su Shiji's face was beaming with a smile. "Brother Ji, let me toast you again. The reason this plan succeeded is entirely due to your contribution. By the way, why didn't sister-in-law come today? We're all our own people. It's just one extra pair of chopsticks. You can bring her along to eat next time." Su Shiji had his arm around Ji Budwan, looking like close brothers, but in his heart, he had been eyeing Lu Qianqian. So much so that when he opened a hotel room with Zhou Zixuan yesterday, he specifically made her wear a black silk hip-hugging skirt. Unfortunately, Zhou Zixuan's figure was truly rather plain, and while they were doing the deed, his mind was filled with the image of sister-in-law. Ji Budwan's eye twitched. He forcibly suppressed the anger in his heart and said with a smile, "Sister-in-law has to work today. Next time, I'll definitely bring her over next time." Ji Budwan wished he could stab Su Shiji to death, but that was just a thought. Only by enduring what others cannot endure can one enjoy what others cannot enjoy. For the sake of progress, what is this little bit of humiliation? As long as he didn't let Lu Qianqian and Su Shiji have contact from now on, he reckoned there was nothing Su Shiji could do. While they were drinking and exchanging cups, Cao Boyi was also eating on the other side. Lu Jian, Wang Bin, Liang Feng, and several unfamiliar faces looking like students, both male and female. Cao Boyi tapped his index finger on the tabletop, sizing up the 2 men and 1 woman in front of him. "Seniors, you all should know who I am, right? I asked you all here because I want to understand a few things." One of the boys, who was relatively shy and wore black-rimmed glasses, spoke up first. "I know you. You're that scum Cao Boyi. Why did you ask us here?" Upon hearing this, Lu Jian was immediately displeased. "FCK your mother. What kind of nonsense are you spouting? Those posts are all rumors." "Dianzi," Cao Boyi waved his hand, then said to the 3 of them, "I invited you all here to deal with Ji Budwan." "Yi Budwan?" "Chairman Ji." The 3 of them looked at each other, confused about what was happening. Cao Boyi continued to explain. "Did you borrow some money from Chairman Ji?" Borrow money." The expressions of the 3 people changed instantly as they put down their chopsticks. One of the girls, wearing smoky makeup, frowned deeply and asked with an unhappy tone, "Who exactly are you? And what kind of nonsense are you spouting here?" The girl's name was Lu Yan. She was usually a spendthrift and vain. Her roommate was a member of the student union and had participated in several club activities with her, through which she got to know Ji Budwan. Recently, a new Apple phone model had been released, and Lu Yin, who was not well off, developed the idea of paying in installments. After finding out, Ji Budwan introduced her to a campus loan company called Dingxin Finance. It was said to be run by a senior who had graduated many years ago, and students got special treatment when borrowing money with no collateral required. "Don't be nervous. I've borrowed from them too." Cao Boyi scooped a bowl of soup as if nothing was wrong and casually made up an excuse. "Last year, my mother was hospitalized and I was short on cash, so I borrowed 10,000 yuan from Ji Budwan." Upon hearing this, the bespectacled man hurriedly asked, "And then? Was there something wrong with it?" He was dealing with this kind of thing for the first time, and it was also because of some situations at home. Hearing that Cao Boyi had a similar experience, he couldn't help but feel a bit more trust in him. "I paid it off." Cao Boyi shrugged and added indifferently, "I borrowed 10,000, received 8,000, and ended up paying back 22,000. "What? Receiving 8,000 and paying back 22,000 meant the interest was a full 14,000, almost 3 times the principal. Suddenly, they realized something and all gasped in shock. It seemed they had also borrowed money from Jibudwan. You? Speak clearly. What exactly is going on? Shen Xia, the prettiest among them who had been acting aloof and hadn't spoken, also became unsettled. The other two had borrowed less than 10,000, but she was different. She had borrowed over 20,000 to buy a new LV bag. If it was really as Cao Boyi said, wouldn't she have to pay back around 50,000? For an ordinary college student, this was simply as difficult as ascending to heaven. Cao Boyi looked at the three of them playfully, saying nothing. College students of this era were truly naive and easy to deceive. They believed whatever he said. However, he hadn't completely lied either. The financial company Jibudwan was colluding with was indeed a loan shark. Otherwise, it wouldn't have driven people to suicide later on. No, you are lying. Chairman Ji said it very clearly. The interest is very low, only a little over 1,000 in interest for a 10,000 yuan loan. Why should we not believe him and instead believe you, a scumbag with a stinking reputation? The three quickly realized something was wrong. Jibudwan was, after all, the vice chairman of the student union and was incredibly successful. Why would he need to deceive a group of students like them? Naive, too naive. Cao Boyi shook his head with a look of pity. And you call yourselves college students? Didn't you read the contract when you borrowed the money? Although usury is not protected by law, collection agencies won't reason with you, nor will they follow the law. In the blink of an eye, the three of them turned deathly pale. Shen Xia hurriedly opened her phone and found the loan contract. Student Cao, please help me check if there are any problems with this contract. Cao Boyi nodded and took the phone to look through it. In his previous life in the casinos of northern Myanmar, he had often engaged in money lending, so this was essentially his area of expertise. After just one glance, he discovered the trickery within it. Cao Boyi placed the phone on the table and said lightly, "You borrowed 23,000, and you have to pay back over 50,000 in total." 50,000? Shen Xia looked completely devastated, so anxious she was about to cry. With this much money, she couldn't pay it back even if she ate instant noodles every day, unless she went out to sell herself. The other two were no better off. Their lips were trembling, and they couldn't speak. Seeing that the time was ripe, Cao Boyi continued. How about it? Do you want to resolve this trouble? Please help us. The three of them looked at Cao Boyi with pleading expressions, as if grabbing onto a life-saving straw. Cao Boyi nodded with satisfaction. The principal must be repaid, but I can help you find a way to deal with the interest. However, you must help me do one thing. Under Cao Boyi's threats and inducements, the three agreed to record video evidence to report and expose Jibudwan. As for that financial company, Cao Boyi didn't take it to heart at all. What kind of caliber could people who target a group of poor students have? They were nothing more than small-time thugs. He would just deal with them, and it would be a good chance to test just how strong his strengthened body actually was. After checking that the video on the phone was fine, Cao Boyi left with Lu Jian and the others. Before leaving, he instructed them to keep this matter confidential for now and not let anyone else know. The group drove back to school together, preparing to participate in the afternoon's military training. Not long after they assembled, Counselor Wang Anxuan from the computer science department walked over in a hurry, his face looking grim. Is Cao Boyi here? Come with me. The playground instantly went quiet. Immediately after, intense discussions erupted. What's going on? Could the school be planning to discipline Cao Boyi? This is big trouble. The counselor does not look happy. TCH, who told him to be a scumbag, serves him right. Cao Boyi didn't speak and silently followed Counselor Wang Anxuan back to the office. Cao Boyi, seek Dao. Counselor Wang Anxuan took a piece of paper out of the drawer and placed it on the table. Notice regarding the cancellation of student Cao Boyi's eligibility for the National Student Grant. The red characters at the top were particularly eye-catching, and the official seal of the Student Affairs Office was stamped on the bottom right corner. Counselor Wang Anxuan got straight to the point. I called you here because there is something I need to inform you about. According to the school leadership study, your situation, The impact is indeed not very good. The quota for the student grant is already tight, and the school has to consider social impact. With your current image, it is not appropriate for you to continue receiving this money. Not appropriate. Cao Boyi repeated it in his heart. He didn't care about this small amount of money at all now, but this feeling was indeed somewhat stifling. The so-called school leadership study was likely the trickery of Director Qin Wenmin behind the scenes. It seemed Director Qin was not as impartial as she appeared on the surface. To protect her son, she had deprived him of his student grant without clarifying the truth. Was she going to arrange for a disciplinary action next? Cao Boyi clenched his fists and decided to immediately expose the recording given to him by Sun Iran. Once he had completely dealt with Su Shiji and the others, he would then take action against Director Qin Wenmin to eliminate future troubles once and for all. I know your situation, but the school is also in a difficult position. The counselor's tone softened slightly. Don't worry. As long as you perform well in the future, you will still have a chance next year. Thank you. If there is nothing else, I will take my leave. Cao Boyi thanked him and immediately left the office. He returned to the car, removed the memory card from the voice recorder, and inserted it into his phone. Then he opened the campus forum and edited a post. School beauty times bestie times rich second generation. A whole table of tea art masters. Please enjoy, everyone in school. Below the post were several attached files, all of which were recordings of Zhou Zishuan and Fu Shou'er plotting to frame Cao Boyi. Cao Boyi unhurriedly started the vehicle and drove toward home. As soon as he entered the house, he saw Qin Meyer sitting on the sofa, watching TV. Cao Boyi ignored her and took out his phone on his own. The light from the screen reflected onto his face, cold and icy. Views, 316 replies. 121, Cao Boyi leaned back against the chair and scrolled down with his finger. Holy crap, the situation has reversed again. There's too much information. My brain is a bit scrambled. Is there a class representative here? Class representative is here. The recording has Zhou Zishuan and her bestie discussing how to slander Cao Boyi. The original post screenshot was faked. It only showed Cao Boyi's messages and not her replies. It's high-octane throughout. I suggest listening to the whole thing. Wait, so you're saying that pinned post is slander? The person we've been cursing all day is innocent? Is this Su Shiji that mama's boy? He even called Cao Boyi daddy during military training. Cao Boyi refreshed it again, but his phone froze. It spun for 3 seconds before it loaded. I knew it. How could a handsome guy of this level do such a lewd and shameless thing? Damn, I even called him a simp yesterday. I apologize. Is an apology useful? He was almost socially dead. Okay. What about that insider who posted it? Aren't they coming out to explain? The comment section had completely fallen. The corners of Cao Boyi's mouth curled up. He just found it somewhat amusing. These onlookers were really easy to lead by the nose. In the blink of an eye, they turned their spears toward Zhou Zishuan, Su Shiji, and the others. Cao Boyi decided to add more fuel to the fire and replied below. Thank you, everyone. I will update with more recordings later. After sending it, a few more comments immediately appeared under the post. Holy crap, there's more. Bookmarked, sitting and waiting for the OP to update. I suggest enabling a tipping feature. I'll tip a pack of spicy strips. Meanwhile, Zhou Zishuan and Fu Shou'er also saw this post in the dormitory. Fu Shou'er's expression was very gloomy. In just 30 minutes, she had received quite a few private messages. They were all cursing her, as nasty as could be. Where did this recording get leaked from? Could there be a traitor in our dorm? Fu Shou'er, that tank, actually had some brains. She realized something was wrong immediately. What should we do now? I don't even dare to go out to buy things. Zhou Zishuan tightly gripped the thermos in her hand. A girl like her, with a strong sense of self-esteem, viewed her personal image as more important than anything else. How could she endure other people pointing fingers at her? After pondering for a moment, Fu Shou'er said, Young Master Su, hurry up and contact Young Master Su. Okay. Zhou Zishuan hurriedly dialed Su Shiji's number. Hello, Shiji, that post. All right, we'll be over right away. Putting down the phone, Zhou Zishuan began to pack her things and fished out a pack of face masks from her bag. After putting one on herself, she gave one to Fu Shou'er. Shiji and Chairman Ji are already discussing countermeasures together, and they want us to go over immediately. The two of them were wrapped up tightly, like big celebrities, as they left the school and arrived at a high-end tea house next to the school. This tea house usually didn't have many people. The private rooms had good soundproofing, suitable for discussing matters. At this moment, in private room 202, the atmosphere was even stuffier than the soundproofing foam. Su Shiji and Ji Buduan were sitting by the window, clutching their phones, the screens still lit up. Shiji, what should we do now? Zhou Zishuan asked anxiously as soon as she sat down. Su Shiji ignored her and kept scrolling through the post on his own. The post had already been pushed to the homepage, with views exceeding 10,000 plus and over 1,000 comments. Can you stop scrolling? The more you scroll, the more annoying it gets. Zhou Zishuan grabbed the phone and slammed it onto the table. She was the one most affected by this matter. If she didn't reverse public opinion quickly, how could she stay in school in the future? Su Shiji gritted his teeth tightly, still saying nothing. Cao Boyi's recordings were ironclad evidence, leaving absolutely no room for rebuttal. Originally, according to his plan, he had already spoken to his mother and revoked Cao Boyi's financial aid. After letting public opinion ferment for a while longer, he could find a way to get him a disciplinary action or even expulsion. Who knew that just 2 days later, the roles would be reversed, and they would become the objects of scorn instead? Su Shiji rubbed his chin and said, Zishuan, why don't you send him a message and apologize, and let's just leave it at that? Both sides will delete the posts, and from now on, we won't interfere with each other. This matter couldn't get any bigger. If his identity were discovered, it would cause quite a bit of trouble for director Qin Wenmin. Given his mother's personality, she wouldn't easily spare him. Su Shiji involuntarily pictured his mother's furious appearance in his mind, and his body shivered subconsciously. Apologize? Zhou Zishuan's face instantly darkened. Apologizing to a dog. What was the difference between that and killing her? Su Shiji, don't go too far. Zhou Zishuan raised her voice a few notches. No matter what, I won't apologize. Besides, didn't you participate in this? Why should I be the only one to apologize? You. Su Shiji was choked up, unable to speak. Just then, the silent Ji Buduan spoke up. Ahem, ahem. Everyone, don't panic yet. He picked up his teacup and took a gentle sip. The situation hasn't reached that point. The small moderator of the Tieba is a senior in his second year of graduate school, and I happen to know him. I just need to make a phone call, and I can get him to delete that post. No matter how arrogant this kid is, it's useless. I can just trip him up a little, and I can make him mute. Ji Buduan placed the teacup on the table, his movements unhurried, just like an old man controlling the whole situation from behind the scenes. He had worked in the student union for so many years and knew many people. What kind of storms hadn't he seen? A freshman who had just entered school with no one to rely on. He had 100 ways to deal with him. Su Shiji's eyes lit up immediately, and he looked over anxiously. Brother Ji, hurry up and make the call. Get him to delete the post. Of course, no problem. I'll contact him right away. Ji Buduan nodded. Then the corners of his mouth drooped, putting on a very troubled expression. The impact of this matter is not very good. After all, if someone else helps out, they will definitely need some. Hearing this, Su Shiji was stunned for a moment. He mentally greeted all of Ji Buduan's ancestors for 18 generations. At a time like this piece of trash was still asking for benefits. How much money do you need? 5,000. Ji Buduan leisurely extended 5 fingers and shook them. As for whatever bullshit kickback, it was all made up. It was a matter that could be solved with one phone call. The reason he said that was just to fish for some benefits first. After all, he had been running around busily for so long. He couldn't end up with nothing, right? It was 8:30 and it was pitch black outside. Cao Boyi put down his phone, intending to visit Annie Jiang next door. Arriving at Jiang Wani's door next door, he raised his hand and knocked. Who is it? Andy, it's me. The next second, the door opened. Jiang Wanting had her wet hair draped over her shoulders, with water droplets dripping from the tips and landing on her collarbone. Her bathrobe was purple, not wrapped very tightly, and the belt around her waist was loose. Her sister said purple had a certain charm, and so did Annie. Oh, it's little Cao. Jiang Wanting smiled, her eyes curving. Come in, come in. Cao Boyi stepped inside sideways, a scent of body wash drifting into his nostrils. Wait a moment. Annie will get you some slippers. Jiang Wanting bent down to rummage through the shoe cabinet, the neckline of her pajamas sliding down, revealing a large expanse of snow-white skin. She had gone to the supermarket in the afternoon to pick up new daily necessities. It seemed she had long anticipated that Cao Boyi would come over, so she had prepared a pair of men's slippers in advance. Cao Boyi swallowed hard, a ball of fire seemingly burning in his abdomen. He didn't know if it was because of the genetic enhancement serum, but he felt his talent seemed even more powerful. Jiang Wanting straightened up and placed the slippers at Cao Boyi's feet. What are you standing there for? Come in and sit. The living room lights weren't on. Only a floor lamp was lit, casting a dim, yellowish glow. On the coffee table sat half a glass of leftover water, and the television was playing Happy Camp. Cao Boyi sat on the sofa, his hand naturally resting on Jiang Wanting's leg. How is the house? Are you getting used to living here, Auntie? It's not bad. Jiang Wanting was like a startled kitten. Her body jerked, and her breathing became heavy. But she quickly adapted to this feeling. After all, except for that final step, they had already done everything else two people should do. Little Cao, could you change how you address me? Don't call me Ann anymore. It always feels a bit weird. Jiang Wanting's cheeks flushed slightly, as if she had done something shameful. How can I do that? You are an elder. Cao Boyi curled his lips into a wicked smile. Besides, don't you think this is exciting? MMH. Jiang Wanting let out a soft hum, nodding like a chicken pecking at rice. Soon, she realized something was wrong. How could she say such a shameful thing out loud? She was truly a shameless, lowly woman. Annie, I think you look especially elegant and moving when you wear silk stockings. Cao Boyi's eyes were full of anticipation. All right, Annie will go change for you right now. Jiang Wanting stood up, not forgetting to admonish him before leaving. You must not steal things again in the future. She changed into the light blue uniform of the Howlai Cake Shop and put on thin, flesh-colored pantyhose. Jiang Wanting played Super Mario with great enthusiasm. Just then, the phone on the table suddenly rang. Ring, ring. Cao Boyi's mood was interrupted, and he impatiently picked up the phone to take a look. It was an unknown number, and Cao Boyi hung up without thinking. Who would have thought that a moment later, the call came through again? Auntie, hold on a second. I need to take this call. Cao Boyi hurriedly put on his pants and pressed the answer button. Hello, you little beast. A female voice suddenly exploded from the other end of the line, the tone raised high, carrying an undisguised arrogance. How could Cao Boyi not recognize Zhou Zishuan's voice? He immediately pressed the speaker button. Speak, you little beast. Hurry up and check your phone. I've had someone delete your post and get you muted. Ha ha. Daring to go against me. I have 10,000 ways to deal with you. The insults were like a machine gun, never stopping. The post was deleted, and he was muted? Cao Boyi was stunned for a moment, then looked at Jiang Wanting and pointed at the phone. Jiang Wanting's brain instantly crashed. She immediately buried her head in the quilt, her body trembling. It was just too shameful. In the middle of things her daughter had actually called, Hello, you little beast. Why aren't you speaking? Zhou Zishuan continued to provoke. Cao Boyi put away his thoughts of teasing Jiang Wanting, cleared his throat, and his tone became solemn. Ahem. First, I must make a correction. You can call me a beast, that's fine, but you shouldn't call me a little beast. You should call me a big beast. Andy Jiang can testify to this. Zhou Zishuan on the other end of the line was completely dumbfounded by these nonsensical words. After a few seconds of silence, she continued to curse. Big beast, I'm going to destroy you, You big beast, ruin your reputation, and make sure you can't survive at Xiangnan University. Speak. What are you doing? Cao Boyi frowned and replied in a low voice. Your mother. Hanging up the phone, Cao Boyi immediately changed his expression. He slowly turned around and looked at Jiang Wanting on the bed. Annie, look. I'm sorry, little Cao. It's my fault for not raising Zishuan well. Auntie is willing to apologize to you on her behalf. Jiang Wanting looked at Cao Boyi with a grievance, her eyes almost melting. Auntie, I'm very fired up right now. 30 minutes later, Jiang Wanting looked at Cao Boyi with a resentful expression. Little Cao was becoming increasingly impolite. He had even learned to talk back to Andy. Feeling refreshed, Cao Boyi returned home and immediately called Lu Jian, asking him to find a few more brothers to post. Besides the recording, he also wanted to expose the matter of Su Shiji and his mother conspiring to deprive him of his scholarship. The impact of this matter was no less than the recording and should be enough to incite public anger, which even director Qin Wenman couldn't suppress. What are you smirking about? Qin Meyer raised her right foot and kicked Cao Boyi in the waist. If you're sitting around with nothing to do, go wash this young lady's socks. I'm almost out of socks to wear. Cao Boyi grinned as he picked up the black silk stocking from the floor, turned, and walked into the bathroom to wash the socks seriously. The next morning, Cao Boyi wasn't in a rush to attend military training. Instead, he arrived at the student union office. Knock, knock, knock. Come in. Cao Boyi pushed the door open and entered, seeing Ji Buduan sitting in a chair with breakfast in his hands. Ji Buduan inwardly cried out that things were bad, but still pretended to be calm and asked, Student, is there something you need? Cao Boyi ignored him, swaggered over to sit opposite him, and put his legs up on the table. Chairman Ji, I've heard so much about you. You, what exactly? Ji Buduan was about to get angry, but was interrupted by Cao Boyi. Chairman Ji, I heard you've been helping that dog, Su Shiji, deal with me. I didn't come here for anything major. I just wanted to show you something. Cao Boyi pulled out his phone and opened the photo album. The background was a restaurant, where a woman sat upright in a chair, weeping bitterly. I am Shun Xia, a senior in the finance department at Xiangnan University. Last month, under the introduction of Student Union Vice Chairman Ji Buduan, I signed a loan contract with Dingxin Finance. Ji Buduan's relaxed expression instantly became grave, his hands gripping the armrests of his chair tightly. I know you're in a hurry, but don't panic. Cao Boyi swiped his finger, and there was another video. My name is Song Feifei. Last week, under the introduction of Ji Buduan, I signed a loan contract, but who knew it was actually a usurious loan? As the last video finished playing, Ji Buduan's entire body collapsed into the chair, his eyes hollow and lifeless, as if he had lost all strength. I was wrong. Please let me go. I came from the countryside. It hasn't been easy to get to where I am today. Please forgive me this one time. I have money. I can pay you. Cao Boyi glanced at him, his eyes full of disdain. These were nothing but crocodile tears. It's not that you know you were wrong. It's that you know you're done for. I'll upload the videos online tonight. Cao Boyi shook his head and immediately walked out of the office. Ji Buduan covered his face, letting out a low, whimpering sound. These videos were enough to ruin everything. At best, he'd be expelled from school. At worst, he'd be thrown into prison. He had worked so hard to get to this position, and his future was looking bright. Now, his beautiful dream was shattered, and all his efforts would go down the drain. I'm not resigned. Ji Buduan raised his fists and slammed them hard onto the table, shaking the items on it. Before long, blood seeped from his skin, but he was completely unaware. He wasn't Su Shiji. He didn't have a mother in the school administration to back him up, nor did he have a father who could make money to support him. Wait! A glint of light flashed in Ji Buduan's dim eyes. The beautiful figure of Lu Qianqian suddenly appeared in his mind. I am not alone. I still have Qianqian. If I use that method. Ji Buduan dragged his heavy feet back home and collapsed onto the sofa, looking completely dejected. He first called young Master Su to ask for help. Young Master Su, something terrible has happened. That bastard Cao Boyi somehow got a hold of my leverage. Young Master Su? Young Master Su. There was silence on the other end of the phone for a full 10 seconds. Brother G, I'm afraid I can't help you with this. I can barely look after myself right now. Last night, a huge number of posts smearing me and my mother appeared on the school forum, and I can't even delete them all. My mother is currently handling this matter. Clang. Ji Budwan's body stiffened. His fingers instantly lost their strength, and his phone fell heavily to the floor. If even young Master Su, who had his mother backing him, couldn't save himself, then what was he supposed to do? It looks like I have no choice but to use that method. Ji Budwan gritted his teeth and picked up the phone from the floor. Qian, what are you doing? Something happened at home. Come back quickly. After hanging up, Ji Budwan's brain raced, thinking about how to explain this to Lu Qian. She was the person he loved most, the woman he dreamed of marrying. About 20 minutes passed. The sound of a key turning came from the door. Click! Lu Qian pushed the door open and walked in. She was wearing a professional suit, a white shirt paired with a dark blue hip-hugging skirt, her well-proportioned legs wrapped in black stockings, and her originally fair cheeks were now flushed. Noticing that Ji Budwan's expression was off, Lu Qian hurriedly asked, Hubby, what happened at home? Ji Budwan looked at his fiancée before him, feeling a sharp pain in his heart. The two of them were childhood sweethearts who grew up together. Lu Qian had been very beautiful since she was young and was a famous beauty in the village. When she was 16, the matchmakers coming to propose marriage almost broke down her doorstep, including some wealthy families from the town. But she rejected them all, even going so far as to fall out with her parents just to be with the impoverished Ji Budwan. Ji Budwan knew this well, so he worked desperately hard, all to give her a better life. Jankan, I'm sorry. Vuvuvu, I'm sorry. Ji Budwan knelt on the floor with a thud and slapped his own cheeks hard. Every slap whistled through the air, the slap, slap, sounds echoing in the room. His face quickly became red and swollen, and a trace of blood seeped from the corner of his mouth. Hubby, what is going on? Lu Qian was instantly anxious and hurriedly crouched down to hold Ji Budwan in her arms to comfort him. Hubby, I beg you, don't hurt yourself. No matter what happens, I will stay by your side and face it with you. Lu Qian gently patted Ji Budwan's back, her tone full of tenderness. Really? Qian, are you really willing to help me? Ji Budwan, as if grasping at a lifeline, hugged Lu Qian's legs tightly and pleaded bitterly. I've been framed by a villain. He forged a piece of evidence that is enough to ruin my future and even send me to prison. Now, only you can help me. Ji Budwan was sobbing and sniffling, pushing all the blame onto Cao Boyi, because only by doing this would his fiancée help him without hesitation. Hiss! Lu Qian gasped, having not expected the situation to be so serious. Hubby, tell me quickly, how can I help you? I still have 80,000 in savings. Feel free to take it and use it. Ji Budwan was very moved. He was truly lucky in 3 lifetimes to have such a beautiful and kind-hearted fiancée. But thinking about having Lu Qian do that kind of thing, his heart couldn't help but ache even more, as if cut by a knife. No, this can't be solved with money. Ji Budwan looked at Lu Qian with a pleading face. The other party is a lecher. I have no choice but to sacrifice you, Qian, to seduce him so I can get leverage on him. Slap. Lu Qian slapped Ji Budwan's already red and swollen face, looking at him in disbelief. Ye Budwan, are you even human? What do you take me for? Am I some kind of prostitute from a brothel? Lu Qian could no longer suppress the anger in her heart, grabbed Ji Budwan by the collar, and shook him violently. Open your eyes and look at who I am. I am your fiancé. Your fiancé. Lu Qian's tears of despair couldn't stop flowing, soaking her white shirt. No, Qian, you are the person I love most. How could I bear to hand you over to someone else? I will bring people over to save you and take evidence of him assaulting you. Ji Buduan hugged Lu Qianqian even tighter. This was the strategy he had just come up with. Only in this way could he completely get a grip on Cao Boyi, and only then would he have a chance to turn things around. A look of determination appeared on Lu Qianqian's face, her eyes filled with coldness. Fine, I agree. After finishing the morning military training, Cao Boyi found a high-end restaurant to host Lu Jian and the others. Come, I'll toast everyone. Cao Boyi raised his glass, his gaze landing on everyone. Have to say, Lu Dian's connections were really good. He contacted so many people in just one night to help host. Brother E, there's no need to be so polite. You are Dianzi's big brother, so you are our big brother too. That's right, you exposing Su Shiji and Director Qin is, in the end, speaking up for us ordinary students. Everyone looked respectful. Lu Dian's good big brother was truly a ruthless person. He dared to go against school leaders as soon as he entered the school. Ring, 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 ring. Cao Boyi's phone suddenly rang. He found a quiet place to answer, and a familiar male voice came from the phone. Cao, student Cao, are you free to talk now? Cao Boyi was a bit surprised. It was actually Ji Buduan calling. Joe? Chairman Ji, what's up? See if you have time tonight to have a meal together. Cao Boyi's brain raced, thinking about what exactly Ji Buduan was up to. Chairman Ji, I think you should cherish your remaining time of freedom instead of wasting it on me. By the way, life in prison is not easy. I'm afraid there will be bearded uncles taking care of you. Cao Boyi didn't hide his schadenfreude at all, his tone full of sarcasm. Ji Buduan could only lower his posture further and continued. I beg you, give me a chance. We can talk about the details when we eat. My fiancé will be coming too. Ji Buduan's tone was very sincere, and his trembling voice was full of temptation. After finishing, he didn't forget to add, she is very beautiful, and she will apologize to you then. Hearing the words fiancé, Cao Boyi instantly became interested, the corners of his mouth curling up involuntarily. Oh, just because you say she's beautiful doesn't count. How about this? Don't hang up. Send a photo over. If I'm satisfied, I might consider your request. The two added each other on WeChat, and the photo was sent over very quickly. The woman in the photo was wearing a white sports tank top, her ample bosom almost bursting out. Gray yoga pants tightly wrapped around her legs, outlining her round and perky peach-like curves, which looked very alluring. Cao Boyi stared at the woman's face, and the more he looked, the more familiar she seemed. Isn't this that saleswoman surnamed Lu? She is Ji Buduan's girlfriend? Are you satisfied? Ji Buduan's trembling voice came from the phone again, seemingly hiding endless humiliation. Ha, of course I'm satisfied. Cao Boyi let out a hearty laugh. Since Chairman Ji is so sincere, how could I bear to let down the good intentions of you and sister-in-law? I will be there on time. Before hanging up the phone, he suddenly thought of something. By the way, sister-in-law's temperament is truly outstanding, especially those beautiful legs. If paired with stockings, they would surely be very sexy. At 7 in the evening, night quietly fell. Cao Boyi arrived as promised at a high-end Japanese izakaya. Hello, sir. Do you have a reservation? Box number 9. Please take me there. Guided by the waiter, Cao Boyi changed into slippers. To be honest, he was not interested in Japanese food, and he found the cumbersome dining rules quite annoying. Cao Boyi slid open the wooden door and walked inside. What came into view was a low wooden dining table, set with sashimi, sushi, tempura, and other specialty foods. A Japanese-style pendant lamp hung from the ceiling, casting warm yellow light onto the table through the lampshade. Student Cao, we have finally been waiting for you. Ji Buduan stood up from the tatami mat and came forward fawningly. Cao Boyi ignored him, his gaze falling on Lu Qianqian, who was kneeling on the tatami mat. Today, Lu Qianqian looked like she had dressed up specifically. Her face wore exquisite makeup, and her red lips were luscious. A white kimono lightly wrapped around her graceful figure, with a few cherry blossoms embroidered on the smooth silk fabric. The collar was slightly open, inadvertently revealing her fair collarbone. Beneath the hem of the skirt, thin black stockings wrapped around her jade-like feet, the insteps arched in an elegant curve, with a faint pink hue visible on the soles. Yoshi, sister-in-law, is truly a feast for the eyes, a feast for the eyes. Lord Boy couldn't help but give a thumbs up. That kid, Jibuan, understood men too well. It was a pity he didn't train technicians. Mr. Gao. A crimson blush spread across Lu Qianqian's cheeks, and her gaze darted around in panic, never daring to meet his eyes. She felt cheap, no different from a prostitute in the red light district. Sit down quickly, the food is almost cold. Jibuan squeezed out a smile and pointed to the seat opposite. All right. Thank you for the hospitality, Brother Ji. I will respectfully accept. Cao Boyi revealed a malicious smile, his gaze wandering unscrupulously over her beautiful legs in black stockings. He walked straight to Lu Qianqian's side and sat down right next to her. I would rather sit next to sister-in-law. Compared to you, I would much rather communicate with her. He, of course, no problem. Jibuan almost ground his back teeth to pieces, but he still forced a smile. He poured shochu into the porcelain cups in front of them, his movements very natural. Get to know each other better. Just pretend I do not exist. Haha. Then I will trouble you, Brother G. Cao Boyi found him more and more pleasing to the eye. He was truly a man who looked somewhat like the Iron Hat King of Tokyo. He could endure even more than the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Mr. Gao. Lu Qianqian dared not look at her fiancé, extending her jade-like hand to lift the wine cup. I toast you, as an apology to you on behalf of Jibuan. I hope you could be the bigger person and not hold it against him. The shochu was quite strong, but Lu Qianqian resolutely tilted her head back and brought the cup to her lips. As the liquor went down her throat, it felt like fire burning. She bit her lower lip, enduring the pain, and drained the cup in one go. In the end, she could not hold it back, letting out a sharp, painful cough. Cao Boyi was very gentlemanly, gently patting her back, while his other hand rested naturally on her jade-like leg in black stockings. Lu Qianqian's delicate body trembled, and she instinctively wanted to push Cao Boyi away, but then she remembered something. The hand suspended in midair quickly retracted. This scene was taken in by Jibuan, who was sitting opposite, and an indescribable, stinging pain surged in his heart. This feeling was like watching a treasure that belonged to him being wantonly defiled by someone else. Sister-in-law, do not be anxious. Cao Boyi sipped his wine, a smile appearing at the corners of his mouth. This matter is not without room for negotiation. As for the specifics, it depends on the sincerity of you and Chairman G. Cao Boyi said this expressionlessly, while his large hands wandered over her smooth, silk-clad legs. Lu Qianqian's body instantly went rigid, and, giving up on herself, she simply grabbed Cao Boyi's hand and guided it. Jibuan accurately captured the movement under the table, feeling as if a giant rock were pressing on his chest, making breathing difficult. Finally, he could not take it anymore. He quietly picked up his phone, played a ringtone, and pretended to answer a call. Hello, what are you saying? All right, I will be there right away. Jibuan put down the phone, stood up, and bowed deeply to Cao Boyi. I'm sorry, I just received a notification that the student union is holding an emergency meeting, and I might have to go over there. Cao Boyi nodded, taking the opportunity to pull Lu Qianqian into his arms, looking like he understood. The student union is there to serve the students, after all. If I were to cause an impact on the vast student body, that would be a great sin. Chairman G, if you have business, go ahead and get busy. Having sister-in-law here to keep me company is enough. Jibuan took a deep look at the two of them, then walked out with stumbling steps. He did not leave immediately, but instead crouched at the door of the box, pricking up his ears to listen to the movement inside. Sister-in-law, you are so hot. Do you have a fever? No, do not do this. Hearing the intermittent, coquettish sounds from inside, Jibuan shed tears of humiliation. He clenched his fists, walked quickly out of the izakaya, hailed a taxi, and headed straight for a nearby computer mall. Ian sori. Kian. Ian sori. Endure it. Endure it. Success is almost here. Ji Budwan took 2 steps at a time, walked into an electronics store, and bought a small video camera. According to the plan, Liu Qianqian would bring Cao Boyi home later to commit misconduct. He only needed to break in when things were halfway through and record evidence of Cao Boyi violating his fiancée. At that time, he could use the video in his hand to threaten Cao Boyi and completely turn the tables. 3 rounds of drinks had passed. Liu Qianqian's originally fair cheeks were now stained with 2 intoxicating blushes by the alcohol. Cao Boyi, whose body had been strengthened, had no trace of drunkenness. But he still pretended to be unable to hold his liquor and kept his hands all over Liu Qianqian. "Sister-in-law, you're already drunk. Why not you let me take you to a hotel to rest?" Hearing the word hotel, Liu Qianqian woke up instantly. Cao Boyi was usually sanctimonious, who knew his heart was so ugly and dirty. But come to think of it, not every man was as perfect as her fiancé. Liu Qianqian brushed back her stray hair, looked at Cao Boyi with amorous eyes, and put on a show of resisting yet welcoming. Sister-in-law cannot let go in an unfamiliar environment. Anyway, that dead ghost will not be back for a while. Why don't we go straight to my place? It is in the Xingfu residential area, not far from here. Let sister-in-law see how capable you are. Cao Boyi's Adam's apple bobbed, and he urged impatiently. "No problem, sister-in-law. Let's hurry home. You have a high fever right now. We need to give you a fever-reducing injection immediately." The 2 of them stumbled into a taxi. While inheriting the Prime Minister's hobbies, Cao Boyi also inherited the Prime Minister's suspicious nature. Things were far from as simple as imagined. It was clearly a trap set by Ji Budwan. Otherwise, Liu Qianqian would definitely have gone to the hotel with him, rather than insisting on going home. He quietly sent a message to Liu Dian, telling him to bring a few strong brothers to the Xingfu residential area and stand by. Daring to set a trap for him? Then he would just turn the tables on them. Moonlight spilled gently onto the earth, draping the ground in a hazy veil. A light breeze stirred the tree branches, making a faint, rustling sound. A taxi slowly pulled up to the entrance of Xingfu residential complex. Cao Boyi helped Liu Qianqian out of the car, their figures intertwined under the lights. "Sister-in-law, where do you live? Let me walk you up. Building 2, Unit 1, 301. Liu Qianqian looked up, the surrounding scenery appearing blurred to her. Cao Boyi sent the specific location to Liu Dian and ordered him to take men and lie in ambush. Arriving at the door of 301, Liu Qianqian rummaged through her bag to find the key. Perhaps because the alcohol had gone to her head or her hands were shaking, she tried many times but couldn't insert the key into the lock. "Sister-in-law, let me handle that." Cao Boyi took the key and inserted it precisely. Click! The door opened, and the 2 walked in one after the other. The living room lights weren't on. Only a pink floor lamp was lit, emitting an ambiguous glow. "Sister-in-law, you really put some thought into this." Cao Boyi praised her repeatedly. Chairman Ji had really arranged a complete service for him. Liu Qianqian collapsed onto the sofa, her high heels already missing, and her slender, black-stocking feet were exposed to the air. Cao Boyi went to the water dispenser and poured a cup of hot water. "Sister-in-law, drink some water to sober up." Liu Qianqian didn't take it, but instead threw herself onto Cao Boyi, sobbing softly. "Woo-woo, Mr. Gao, please let my fiancé go. I really can't lose him." Liu Qianqian writhed her delicate body, rubbing against him. Cao Boyi knew this woman was seducing him, so naturally, he dared not act rashly. Buzz, the phone in his pocket suddenly vibrated twice. He raised his arm, finding an angle where Liu Qianqian couldn't see, and opened his phone. "Liu Dian, everything is set. I have men lying in ambush in the stairwell on the 4th floor." Seeing this message, Cao Boyi breathed a sigh of relief, instantly relaxing. "Mr. Cao, won't you please?" There was a hint of resentment in Lu Qianqian's pleading eyes, because she noticed that Cao Boyi had been like a different person ever since they entered the room. He sat upright on the sofa, completely unlike how he had been during dinner, when he looked like a lecher, constantly touching her. It seems sister-in-law can't wait anymore. Cao Boyi snapped back to reality and revealed a lecherous smile once again. With top-tier acting skills, Cao Boyi instantly transformed into a leading man from a Japanese movie. It's not impossible for me to let Chairman G go. It just depends on your performance, sister-in-law. I have to say, sister-in-law, you look really beautiful today, especially in this kimono. It's exactly my type. After saying this, Cao Boyi reached his hand out. What are you doing? No, you can't. Lu Qianqian said no, but she wore a seductive expression, trying to completely stimulate Cao Boyi. Seeing that the time was right, she struggled to turn her aside and, using all her strength, shouted toward the door. Let go of me. Let me go now. Help. Darling. Come and save me quickly. Fuck you. Ji Buodwan, who had been waiting at the door for a long time, instantly had veins popping out. Daring to mess with my woman? I'll kill you, damn it. He quickly took the camera from the crossbody bag at his waist and turned on recording mode. After finishing all this, he took out the key he had hidden in the fire hydrant beforehand, preparing to break in. However, an accident suddenly occurred. Just at the moment he was about to push the door open, Lu Jian, Liang Feng, and Wang Bin suddenly rushed out from the stairwell and slammed him onto the cold ground. Lu Jian snatched the camera and smashed it to pieces. Damn it! Daring to frame my lord, do you really think I, Dian Wei, am a pushover? Ji Buodwan struggled desperately, his shoes rubbing against the floor, making a scratching sound. Whoa! He opened his mouth to call for help, but it was tightly covered by a pair of large hands. Darling, where are you? Come save me. Lu Qianqian's throat was almost raw from screaming, her eyes fixed on that dark door. If this continued, her innocence would truly be lost. Just when Lu Qianqian was preparing to find a weapon to go down with him, Cao Boyi suddenly stopped his movements. He helped Lu Qianqian tidy up her disheveled clothes, then stood up and bowed deeply to her, looking apologetic. Sister-in-law, I have offended you greatly tonight. What on earth is going on? Lu Qianqian smoothed her messy hair, looking at Cao Boyi in confusion. Sister-in-law, haven't you noticed anything wrong yet? Cao Boyi patted his wrinkled shirt, his formerly fanatical gaze returning to clarity. All of this is just Ji Buodwan's conspiracy. I accidentally discovered the illegal things he has been doing, and in order to protect his future, he decided to use a honey trap on me. As for you, sister-in-law, you are merely a gift he used to curry favor with me. As for just now, I was only putting on an act, all to let you, the kind-hearted sister-in-law, see his true colors. Cao Boyi calmly took out his phone and played the recording of Su Shiji and Ji Buodwan conspiring to frame him. Then, he opened several videos and tossed the phone to Lu Qianqian, telling her to see for herself. No, this isn't true. You're lying. We grew up together, came to this city to struggle together, and we were going to get married after he graduated. I am his fiancé. He wouldn't treat me like this. Liar. You liar. Lu Qianqian completely broke down, grabbing a pillow from the sofa and throwing it at Cao Boyi. Sister-in-law. Cao Boyi raised his voice several decibels, saying regretfully, You are just deceiving yourself. Ji Buodwan will stop at nothing for his future. In his eyes, you are nothing but a tool. Today he can make you seduce me, and tomorrow he could make you seduce someone else. The more Cao Boyi spoke, the more agitated he became, his brows furrowed tightly. Sister-in-law, you are truly too kind. Please, stop being so stubborn. Shut up. Lu Qianqian shouted hoarsely, her hands trembling as she took her phone out of her bag. She didn't believe Cao Boyi's nonsense. She had to call Ji Buodwan and ask him clearly, outside the door. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The phone vibrated so hard that Ji Buodwan's thigh went numb. His eyes widened to the extreme, the whites of his eyes filled with shocking bloodshot streaks, staring fixedly at the cold door in front of him. Yamit, Yamit, no, don't. Chanchian, give Chanchian back to me. Yebuduanes Buddhis struggled violently. But how could he be a match for 3 sports students? Beep, beep, beep. She made several calls in a row, but no one answered. Lu Chanchian's beautiful eyes gradually became hollow and lifeless, her hand holding the phone hanging in midair, not knowing where to put it. Sister-in-law, you were just too kind, which is why you were deceived by a beast like Jibudwan. Cao Boyi shook his head, looking heartbroken. Sister-in-law, I have offended you greatly tonight, and I apologize to you once again. If there is nothing else, I will take my leave. After saying this, he turned his head to leave. Just as he reached the door, he was called back by Lu Chanchian from behind. No, don't you dare leave. Come back. Take me. Cao Boyi paused his steps, turned to look at Lu Chanchian, and looked embarrassed. Sister-in-law, what is the meaning of this? I, Cao Boyi, am a gentleman. Everything I just did was merely acting. It was all to expose the true face of that hypocrite Jibudwan. Lu Chanchian was stunned at first, and then, surprisingly, she directly pulled open the collar of her kimono. What? Am I not pretty? She asked coldly. Pretty, very pretty. I swear, sister-in-law is the most beautiful woman in this world. But how could I do that kind of thing to you? My conscience would be uneasy. Cao Boyi swallowed his saliva. Although he said that, his gaze remained firmly fixed on it, not moving away for a second. Lu Chanchian only felt embarrassed and dared not meet his eyes. So, she had been deceived by her fiancé and had wronged the righteous Cao Boyi, treating him as that kind of person. I'm sorry, it was sister-in-law who wronged you. Lu Chanchian bit her red lips. If you don't mind, sister-in-law would like to make amends to you. Hiss. Cao Boyi took a deep breath. As a gentleman, how could he refuse sister-in-law's kindness? Then I shall respectfully accept. The night grew darker. After tidying up his clothes, Cao Boyi prepared to leave. Just as he stepped out of the door, he saw Jibudwan, who was being firmly held down by Lu Dian and the other 2, his face already turned green. Cao Boyi hooked the door shut with his foot and looked down at him. Chairman Ji, thank you for your hospitality. I am very satisfied. Sister-in-law was truly too kind. He was even a bit envious that Jibudwan could have such an outstanding fiancé. Of course, Cao Boyi didn't hold back either. He used 200% of his ability to repay sister-in-law. Brother E, how should we deal with this guy? Lu Jian looked at Cao Boyi with burning eyes. Brother E is truly awesome, truly the reincarnation of Prime Minister Cao. This question stumped Cao Boyi. As a gentleman, he couldn't do something ungrateful, right? After pondering for a moment, Cao Boyi said calmly, send him to the nearby police station first. I will send you the evidence of his involvement in loan sharking later. The next morning, Cao Boyi came to school as if nothing had happened. Unlike the previous days, no one pointed fingers at him anymore. There were only looks of admiration. Kid, I'm warning you. You cannot be absent from the upcoming military training again. Instructor Li Yunlong punched Cao Boyi on the shoulder. He had heard about this guy's deeds over the past 2 days, a desperate comeback. It sounded very passionate. This inevitably made him feel more favorable towards Cao Boyi. This guy was really to his liking. You kid, when you can't make it in school one day, come to the army and find me. The army is just lacking talent like you. If that day really comes, remember to bring out your Italian artillery for me to see. Just as the 2 were joking around, the computer science department counselor, Wang Anchuan, walked over with a flustered expression. He looked at the crowd and shouted, Cao Boyi, where's student Cao Boyi? Counselor, I'm here. Wang Anchuan walked over hurriedly with urgent steps. Student Cao, I finally found you. Come with me quickly. What is it? Cao Boyi followed behind him, asking questions all the way, but Wang Anchuan brushed them all off. Wang Anchuan did not take him back to the department office, but brought him to the student affairs office. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Director Qin Wenman sitting in the office chair. The woman looked haggard, with large dark circles under her eyes, and no makeup, but it couldn't hide her stunning beauty. She was wearing that iconic professional attire, flesh-colored silk stockings on her plump legs, and a pair of black leather, red-bottomed high heels on her feet. "You can leave now." Director Qin Wenmin waved her hand at Wang Anshuan, signaling him to leave. The door was shut with a bang. Director Qin Wenmin went to the water dispenser, brewed a cup, placed it on the desk, and forced an ugly smile. Student Cao, we meet again." "Hello, Director Qin. May I ask what you need?" "If there is nothing, I will go back to participate in training." Cao Boyi glanced at Director Qin Wenmin, expressionless. He had no good feelings towards Su Shiji's mother. She always put on an aloof posture, arrogant and rude, and the son she raised was naturally overbearing and tyrannical. "You!" Director Qin Wenmin flared up instantly. In this school, from the smallest student security guard to the school leaders, who wasn't polite when they saw her, there were even busybodies who called her the high mountain flower of Xiangnan University. A brat dared to be impudent in front of her. Director Qin Wenmin's beautiful face turned cold instantly. She took a deep breath, adjusted her tone, and said, "Student Cao, I think there might be some misunderstanding between us." "Oh, a misunderstanding." Cao Boyi raised his eyebrows, feigning confusion. "Director Qin, as an inconspicuous student, I avoid you as soon as I see you. How could I dare to have any misunderstanding with you?" Upon hearing this, Director Qin Wenmin gripped the pen in her hand even tighter. This brat was even more difficult to deal with than she had imagined. Those posts had already had a significant impact on her, and even the principal had personally inquired about this matter. It must be resolved quickly to avoid the impact from spreading, otherwise, it would affect her competition for vice principal. "Little Cao, that's not how you put it." Director Qin Wenmin tried hard to squeeze out a smile and said in an elder's tone, "You don't have to call me director. That's so distant. I am about the same age as your mother. You could just call me Aunt Qin." Director Qin Wenmin took a sip of tea, and the smile on her face became even brighter. "You and Su Shiji have conflicts, and you've suffered some grievances, but the final result is that you won, right? Forgive others when you can. You have to study here for the next 4 years. It's better to have one more friend than one more enemy, right?" Hearing this, Cao Boyi couldn't help but frown. Director Qin Wenmin seemed to be mediating the conflict between him and Su Shiji, but in reality, her words were filled with threats. It was as if she was saying, "If you offend me, don't think about surviving in this school for the next 4 years. "Annie, I don't agree with that." Cao Boyi smiled calmly and asked back, "If the person who lost was me, would Aunt Qin still be sitting here talking to me so calmly?" "I think definitely not. You wouldn't even bother to look at me, right?" Director Qin Wenmin's smile froze instantly, and her tone became cold. "What exactly do you want? I've seen plenty of people from the bottom like you. You just want to extort more benefits." As Director Qin Wenmin said this, she bent down to rummage through the drawer. This angle was just right, and Cao Boyi could clearly see the proud conscience under that white shirt. Director Qin is worthy of being a teacher. Her conscience is really big and white. Here is 10,000 yuan, enough for your living expenses for a year. Are you satisfied now? Director Qin Wenmin picked up a stack of cash and threw it casually on the desktop. Cao Boyi glanced at it, unmoved. Director Qin Wenmin's eye twitched, and she took out another stack. "Is this enough now?" Cao Boyi still didn't speak, just shook his head. "You, don't go too far." Director Qin Wenmin slammed the table and shouted angrily, "What conditions will satisfy you?" This poor ghost was far greedier than she had imagined. "Satisfy me?" Cao Boyi pointed himself, a wicked smile curling on his lips. "Director Qin, you should have seen the video of Su Shiji calling me daddy, right? Since I've accepted Su Shiji as my son, shouldn't I also enjoy the rights as your husband?" "Shut your mouth." Director Qin Wenmin's willow leaf eyebrows shot up, and she fiercely raised the paper cup in her hand, splashing it toward Cao Boyi. "Are you even human? I could be your mother." Director Qin Wenmin was trembling with rage. the ample curves of her chest heaving with every breath. Su Shiji had told her that Cao Boyi was a beast, but at first, she hadn't taken it to heart. Now, she had seen it for herself. He wasn't just a beast, he was a devil. Director Qin Wenman couldn't help but imagine the scene, and she felt a wave of nausea. Doing the kind of thing with low-life trash like him would be worse than death. Cao Boyi wiped the water from his face, looking at Director Qin Wenman with a mocking smile. Director Qin, your temper really is fiery. Get out. Get out of here. Take a look in the mirror and see what kind of person you are. A toad lusting after a swan's flesh. Director Qin Wenman's pretty face flushed crimson as she pointed toward the door and berated him. Cao Boyi cast a light glance, his gaze drawn to Director Qin Wenman's delicate hand. Her skin was fair and delicate, without a single blemish, long and slender, with deep red nail polish on her fingertips. However, her middle and index fingers were different. Not only were they not manicured, but they had also been meticulously trimmed extremely short. Then I shall take my leave. Cao Boyi curled the corner of his lips and walked away without looking back. Get out! Get out! A furious Director Qin Wenman grabbed a file from the table and threw it at Cao Boyi's retreating back. Once the door was firmly shut, Director Qin Wenman sat heavily in her chair, gasping for breath. She had just been discharged from the hospital not long ago, and her condition hadn't fully recovered. Being angered like this by Cao Boyi made her feel like she was suffocating. After catching her breath for a long while, she finally picked up the phone on the table and dialed a number. Cao Boyi's frivolous actions had completely enraged her. Even if she had to pay a price, she was going to take revenge. Time moved to the afternoon. A disciplinary notice suddenly appeared on the school's official website bulletin board. In order to maintain the normal teaching and management order of the college, build an excellent learning and living environment, and strictly enforce school discipline and rules according to the relevant regulations of the Xiangnan University Student Disciplinary Measures, the following students are hereby disciplined: Cao Boyi, a 2015 student of the Computer Science Department, ignored school discipline and rules, engaged in fighting on campus, disrupted the order of the opening ceremony, and caused negative social impact. He is hereby given the punishment of disciplinary probation. Su Shiji, a 2015 student of the Physical Education Department, ignored school discipline and rules, participated in fighting, and is given the punishment of a serious warning. Fu Shou'er, a 2015 student of the Art Department, ignored school discipline and rules, spread rumors on the campus forum, and is given the punishment of a warning. Once this news came out, the school forum instantly exploded. The school's handling of this is truly gratifying. It's these people who have made the school a mess. They should have been dealt with long ago. Why is Cao Boyi's punishment the most severe, while the other two are lighter? Su Shiji didn't post directly. He was just plotting behind the scenes. The one who posted was this girl named Fu Shou'er. For a time, there were many different opinions. Some supported the school's decision, while others felt it was unfair. Director Qin Wenman lay on the sofa with an apple in her hand, eating while looking at her phone. Can I, a grown woman, handle a poor student like you? She was in a very pleasant mood. If someone didn't know the inside story, they couldn't find any fault with this disciplinary notice. It was true that Cao Boyi had confessed to a classmate's mother at the opening ceremony, and it was true that he had fought. What punishment to give was entirely up to her, the director. This was already the most severe punishment she could give within her authority. 12 months of disciplinary probation. As long as Cao Boyi committed another offense during this period, she could rightfully expel him. If a poor student lost the opportunity to attend university, his life would be completely ruined. As for Su Shiji's warning, if he behaved well, it could be cleared in one semester. The final right of interpretation regarding whether it was good or not still lay with her. Cao Boyi also received the notice at the first opportunity. He hadn't expected that this woman, Director Qin Wenman, had gone crazy and would dare to retaliate against him under such circumstances. Come to think of it, those words from the morning must have provoked her. How could a high and mighty woman like her endure such an insult? System, use the big investigation function on Director Qin Wenman. Cao Boyi thought to himself. Ding, big investigation, initiated investigation target. Director Qin Wenman's secret one. Director Qin Wenman used the family's savings to play the stock market. Being self-righteous, she has already lost over 3 million and has never dared to tell her husband and children. Secret 2. Director Qin Wenman's husband was injured in a car accident 10 years ago and became an incomplete man. Director Qin Wenman's long-term emptiness has caused endocrine disorders, anxiety, irritability, and insomnia. Secret 3. Every Friday night, Director Qin Wenman steals things at the Bison convenience store across from the school to seek excitement and relieve pressure. Steal things. Cao Boyi's mouth twitched. He hadn't expected that the high and mighty Director Qin would actually be a thief. Thinking about Qin Meyer's special constitution, these two sisters were truly cut from the same cloth. Both were quite perverted. He opened his phone to check the time. Today was Friday. If he could get evidence of her stealing, Cao Boyi unconsciously revealed a wicked smile. He had a bold idea in his heart. He first went home to change clothes, then drove to the entrance of the Bison convenience store. The cashier was a young man around 20 years old, wearing a blue uniform. Cao Boyi walked up and asked with a smile, "Hello, you're working part-time here, right?" The young man was stunned for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, is there something wrong?" Cao Boyi took out a cigarette, pulled one out, and handed it over. "Hey, let me ask you something. Is this convenience store still hiring?" I'm not really sure about the specifics." The young man took the cigarette, but didn't light it, looking a bit reserved. "I'm a student in the management department. I've been busy writing my graduation thesis lately, and the content of my thesis is researching the operational situation of convenience stores." Once the clerk heard that the other person was also a student at Xiangnan University, he immediately relaxed his vigilance. "Is there anything I can help you with?" "It's like this." Cao Boyi, relying on his silver tongue, talked him into a daze. In the end, the young man accepted the 1,000 yuan research funding from Cao Boyi and gave up his position as the cashier to him. "Are you sure you don't need me to help on the side? If anything goes missing, you'll have to pay for it." No need. You go to your own thing. If there's anything, I'll call you." Cao Boyi declined his kindness, put on the work uniform just like the other, and sat at the cashier counter. There was plenty of time. He made a call to Lu Jian, asking him to buy 3 pinhole cameras and a baseball cap. Half an hour later, Lu Jian walked into the convenience store carrying a black plastic bag. "Brother E, what are you doing?" "Experiencing life." Looking at Cao Boyi, who was checking out customers, Lu Jian felt completely bewildered. "Stop talking nonsense. If there's nothing else, get out of here quickly." Cao Boyi rolled his eyes at him impatiently. Cao Boyi took the plastic bag, took out a black baseball cap, and put it on his head. He even deliberately lowered the brim a bit. Night fell, and the city lights began to twinkle. A white BMW Z4 slowly pulled up in front of the convenience store's glass door, instantly becoming the center of attention. The car door opened slowly, and Director Qin Wenman stepped out. Her cheeks were flushed, as if she had just finished exercising. The 2 thin straps of her black sports tank top wrapped around her delicate shoulders, digging slightly into her skin and leaving faint marks, while her proud curves stretched the fabric ever so slightly. Her tight yoga pants were like a second skin, clinging closely to her voluptuous thighs and outlining her curvaceous silhouette. Director Qin, hello." A passing student recognized Director Qin Wenman and hurriedly bowed and scraped. Director Qin Wenman ignored them, lifted her pointed chin, and walked into the convenience store in her white sneakers. As soon as she entered, she saw a busy figure in front of the counter. Director Qin Wenman adjusted the gold-rimmed glasses on the bridge of her nose, her beautiful eyes scanning Cao Boyi up and down. The clerk was wearing a baseball cap, obscuring his features completely, yet he gave her a very familiar feeling, as if she had seen him somewhere before. Cao Boyi smelled a familiar perfume and knew that Director Qin, whom he had been waiting for, had arrived. He did not look up, remaining busy with what he was doing. Director Qin Wenmin paused for a moment, then walked in as if nothing were amiss, coming to a crouch in front of the snack shelf. She first looked around to make sure no one was nearby, then picked up a box of Oreos and quickly slipped it into the Chanel bag she was carrying. Sigh. Director Qin Wenmin took a slow breath, a smile rippling across her cheeks, her eyes filled with a hazy, reminiscent look. Then came the chocolate, egg, yolk pies, sandwich cookies. Cao Boyi saw off the last customer and then silently closed the glass door. He sat upright at the cash register, quietly observing everything that was happening inside. Before long, Director Qin Wenmin brought a pack of chewing gum to the front desk to pay, her expression returning to its usual haughty demeanor. "How much?" she asked in an icy tone. 10 yuan. Director Qin Wenmin pulled out a banknote, tossed it onto the register, and prepared to leave without looking back. However, when she reached the door, she realized something was wrong. The sensor-activated glass door did not open automatically. It remained tightly shut. After trying back and forth several times with no response, Director Qin Wenmin looked impatiently toward the register. "What's going on? Is the door broken?" Cao Boyi did not even look up, as if he hadn't heard. "I'm talking to you. Didn't you hear me?" Director Qin Wenmin's face darkened instantly. A lowly cashier actually dared to ignore her. "What kind of attitude is that? Be careful, or I'll call and file a complaint against you, and you'll lose your job and end up on the streets." Her cold, beautiful face was full of threats. Director Qin, did you forget something?" Cao Boyi took off his baseball cap and looked at her with a mocking smile. "It's you, you little beast." Director Qin Wenmin widened her eyes, looking at Cao Boyi in disbelief. How could this kid appear in the convenience store? After a brief moment of shock, she quickly figured out the reason. She had already reviewed Cao Boyi's file. He was a pathetic orphan, likely struggling financially, which was why he was working part-time at the convenience store to earn living expenses. Thinking of this, she suddenly felt a bit more confident. "What?" Director Qin Wenmin raised an eyebrow, her tone disdainful. "Could it be that you want to use this method to take revenge on me? That's too childish. You violated school rules first, and, as a teacher, I can only act according to regulations." Director Qin Wenmin became more animated as she spoke, involuntarily imagining Cao Boyi in a state of exasperation. In the end, he was just a poor student, only meant to be bullied in front of her. Director Qin. Cao Boyi shook his head, revealing an intriguing smile. "You really are a little glutton who loves snacks. What exactly are you trying to do?" Director Qin Wenmin felt offended and immediately flared up. "Nothing much." Cao Boyi played with the lighter in his hand, the corners of his mouth curling up slightly. "Director Qin, do you still remember that you are a teacher? As a teacher, yet you engage in stealing. Don't you feel ashamed?" Upon hearing the words stealing, Director Qin Wenmin's heart skipped a beat, and her breathing became rapid. Could he have discovered it? Impossible. She had always been careful and cautious. She had never been discovered all these years. What nonsense are you spouting?" Director Qin Wenmin took a deep breath, feigning composure, and ordered, "Open the door immediately, or I'll call the police." After saying this, she raised her jade-like hand to point at the BMW sports car outside and said, "Do you know how much that car is worth? It could buy your life. My family doesn't lack money at all. Why would I need to steal from your crappy convenience store? Open the door for me. Otherwise, I'll sue you for sexual harassment." Director Qin Wenmin's voice grew louder and louder, attempting to use it to cover up her inner panic. "Fine, then let's call the police." Cao Boyi shrugged, looking indifferent, and picked up the phone on the table to dial the police. "Wait!" A flash of urgency crossed Director Qin Wenmin's eyes. She lunged forward and snatched the phone away. She could clearly feel her body trembling uncontrollably. Cao Boyi stared at the bulging Chanel bag, smiling mockingly. There must be quite a few secrets hidden in this bag, right? He came to Director Qin Wenmin's side, his gaze wandering over her curvaceous figure as if admiring a work of art. He leaned in close and whispered into Director Chin Wenmin's ear. Who would have thought that the haughty Director Chin is actually a thief behind the scenes, doing such filthy things? If the students found out, what would they think of you? If Su Shiji found out, what would he think? Director Chin Wenmin's lips trembled uncontrollably, and her legs unconsciously clamped together. That intense fear made her almost unable to control her own body. She nearly lost control of her bladder on the spot. No, I didn't steal anything. I just forgot to pay. Director Chin Wenmin braced herself, took a stack of 100 yuan bills out of her wallet, and slammed them onto the table. I have money. I have money. I have plenty of money. Cao Boyi laughed in anger. Did this bitch know how to say anything other than money? He snatched the bag from Director Chin Wenmin's waist, pulled open the zipper, and asked in a cold voice, Director Chin, explain this. What is this? The expression on Director Chin Wenmin's face instantly stiffened, but she still refused to admit it. I just forgot to pay. I didn't steal anything. I didn't steal anything. Director Chin Wenmin had completely lost her arrogant and domineering air. Her eyes quickly filled with tears, and she looked pitiful, as if she were about to burst into tears the next second. Cao Boyi did not respond, but instead pointed at the Oreos, sandwich cookies, and egg yolk pies inside. He asked coldly, Answer my question, what is this? This is biscuits and egg yolk pies. I didn't steal anything, I just forgot to pay. Director Chin Wenmin was intimidated by Cao Boyi's cold demeanor, her voice growing quieter and quieter. You still dare to make excuses? Then I have no choice but to let the police handle this matter. Cao Boyi made a move to call the police again. What do you want me to do for you to let me go? I have money. I can give you hush money. Any amount is fine. Director Chin Wenmin lowered her noble head, her eyes filled with pleading. She had worked so hard to climb to her current position, becoming the universally respected Director Chin. If her students and leaders knew that the arrogant and conceited Director Chin had secretly done such shameful things, not only would all her years of hard work go down the drain, but she would also become the talk of the town. Hush money? Do you think I'm short on that kind of money? Cao Boyi said while walking inside, finding 2 pinhole cameras from under the shelf. Ma'am, your crime has been completely recorded, you know. Cao Boyi curled his lips, taking the memory card out of the camera. He wanted to completely shatter this arrogant woman's self-esteem and make her never be able to lift her head in front of him again. Chikamera. Director Chin Wenmin's face turned ashen. If she had still held onto a shred of hope just a moment ago, she was now in total despair. Caught red-handed with video evidence, if Cao Boyi released the video, her life would be completely over. Come inside with me. Cao Boyi took her to the staff break room inside. The break room was oppressively small, with a single bed placed tightly against the wall, taking up most of the space. An incandescent light hung overhead, flickering on and off, adding a sense of desolation to the already cramped space. Cao Boyi inserted the memory card into his phone and played the video from just now. Oh my, who would have thought that the usually dignified and cold Director Chin would actually do such an ugly thing? Cao Boyi shook his head, raised his voice several decibels, and sternly reprimanded, Confess honestly, what was your purpose for stealing? Director Chin Wenmin's face turned even redder, and her voice lowered a few notches. I was seeking excitement. Cao Boyi frowned, clearly unsatisfied with this answer, and continued to press. Director Chin, do you take me for a 3-year-old? This is stealing, not riding a roller coaster at an amusement park. Director Chin Wenmin bit her red lips, looking like she wanted to say something but held back. I have too much work pressure, and I accidentally discovered that stealing is a very exciting thing, so I wanted to use it to relieve stress. You really are a shameless woman. A teacher, a mother, yet you do such dirty things. I just secretly took a few worthless things. What exactly do you want me to do to let me go? Director Chin Wenmin's eyes were red, and tears couldn't stop flowing down. Cao Boyi snorted coldly, his gaze fixed on her like an eagle's. It seems Director Chin has not truly realized her mistake yet. It seems I have no choice but to let the police uncle handle this. Hearing the word police, Director Chin Wenman's inner defenses completely collapsed. She screamed hoarsely, "I'm sorry. I'm a thief. I just like stealing. I'm a psychopath. I'm a dirty, low-down woman." So, Director Chin's impartial and selfless demeanor was all an act, huh? Cao Boyi said in a teasing tone, looking at her with a wicked grin. "Yes, I'm a shameless woman. I was wrong. I shouldn't have stolen. I really know I was wrong. Please, let me go." Director Chin Wenman's arrogant self-esteem was completely shattered, and her beautiful eyes no longer held their former luster. "Remember what you said today. If you dare to act arrogant again, I'll post the video online and guarantee you'll end up in prison." Cao Boyi nodded in satisfaction. The arrogant, conceited, and dismissive Director Chin Wenman could only humble herself and beg for pity in front of him. This feeling was just too good. "Then, can I go now?" Director Chin Wenman let out a long sigh of relief and began to walk toward the door with small, hurried steps. "Wait, did I say you could leave?" Cao Boyi grabbed her arm from behind and forcibly pulled her back. The atmosphere, which had finally eased up, became tense again. Director Chin Wenman looked at Cao Boyi with a terrified expression and stammered, I've already apologized. What else do you want?" Cao Boyi crossed his arms and looked at her playfully. "If I remember correctly, ma'am, you're a teacher, right? Since you're a teacher, you should understand one principle. If you do something wrong, you must be punished." He didn't intend to just let Director Chin Wenman go like this. If saying sorry was useful, what would the police be for? Cao Boyi wandered around the break room, thinking about how to help Director Chin Wenman break her bad habit of stealing. Just then, a piece of clothing on the table caught his attention. It was a blue and white school uniform, which looked like it had been forgotten in the shop by some scatterbrained high school student. Cao Boyi walked up, picked up the school uniform, and handed it to Director Chin Wenman. What is this? Put on the school uniform." Cao Boyi's expression was serious. He planned to play the teacher for once and properly educate a naughty student. When under someone else's roof, one has to bow one's head. Director Chin Wenman reached out with both hands to take the uniform. As soon as her fingertips touched the fabric, she realized something was wrong. She frowned but still tried to put the uniform on. However, as soon as she got it to her arms, she clearly felt it was tight. Every inch she pulled it up was incredibly difficult. Cao Boyi's gaze was like a torch, sizing up the somewhat comical Director Chin. The size of the school uniform was a bit small. For Director Chin Wenman, it really wasn't a good fit. But this mismatched piece of clothing unexpectedly had a magical effect. The tight fabric clearly outlined her proud figure, her ample bosom, and her waist that could be held in one's palm. It was as if this wasn't a school uniform, but the contrast is too much. Cao Boyi muttered to himself, feeling the blood in his body surging. What are you doing?" Director Chin Wenman blushed, timid and afraid to look down. This feeling was just too shameful. "What am I doing?" Cao Boyi's lips curled into a wicked smile. "Of course, I'm punishing the erring Director Chin." Inside the dimly lit staff break room, Director Chin Wenman's school uniform was stretched taut by her figure, while her gray yoga pants tightly encased her peach-like curves. This strange outfit didn't feel awkward at all. Instead, it created a striking sense of contrast. A touch of innocence was mixed with her alluring sexiness, making her look both pure and seductive, incredibly captivating. Thump! Director Chin Wenman's knees buckled, and she knelt on the floor like a pug, looking at Cao Boyi with pitiful eyes. "I'm sorry. I really know I was wrong. Please don't do that to me. I am your teacher, and also the mother of your classmate." Cao Boyi instantly flew into a rage and slapped the woman across her pretty face. "Shut up. Do you think everyone is like you? Your head is filled with nothing but dirty, filthy thoughts. You shameless, ugly woman. I feel dirty just touching you." As a gentleman, Cao Boyi only felt insulted. He had no interest in Director Chin Wenman whatsoever. Although this woman's appearance was indeed impeccable, Her personality had major flaws, and she couldn't compare to the other Annies at all. Director Cheen Winman was knocked backward by the slap and nearly fell. She raised her hand, trembling as she covered her face. Feeling the prickling sensation on her face, she didn't feel pain. Instead, it was as if a switch had been flipped. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly, and a sharp glint flashed in her eyes, as if she were savoring something. How do you plan to punish me? Director Cheen Winman stared straight at Cao Boyi, her eyes seeming to shimmer. What the hell? This woman really didn't know how to repent. She actually dared to provoke him. Cao Boyi turned around, walked back into the convenience store, and grabbed a black belt from a nearby shelf. What are you doing? Director Cheen Winman's heart rate accelerated uncontrollably. While she was afraid, she also felt a faint sense of anticipation. What am I doing? Naturally, I'm disciplining a disobedient daughter on behalf of her father. There was no pity on Cao Boyi's cold face. He flicked his wrist, and the belt cut through the air with a sharp arc and a whistling sound, landing heavily on Director Cheen Winman. Snap, snap, snap. The crisp, rhythmic sound of the whipping echoed in the narrow space. It was like a stern father disciplining an unfilial daughter. Cao Boyi specifically controlled his strength, avoiding vital areas. He wasn't some kind of demon. Doing this was just to teach Director Cheen Winman a lesson. Director Cheen Winman lay on the floor like a dog, biting her lip hard and covering her mouth, struggling to keep from making any sound. The belt lashes were painful and humiliating, but there was also a strange sensation. It was a tingling, numbing feeling that couldn't be described in words, and it was her first time experiencing it. 20 minutes later, Cao Boyi stopped. After so long, he was a bit tired, but Director Cheen Winman had stubbornly endured it without a sound until now. He was almost impressed by this powerful woman. Her personality was like a wild horse, difficult to tame. Is it over? Director Cheen Winman lifted her head and stared dazed at her reflection in the mirror. Her hair was messy, her cheeks flushed, and her lips bitten pale. But she didn't even recognize the light in her own eyes. It was frighteningly bright, like a person who had been thirsty for a long time, finally seeing water. Cao Boyi threw the belt aside and looked down at her. Does it hurt? Director Cheen Winman nodded, then shook her head. It was indeed pain, but it also wasn't just pain. She couldn't describe exactly what it was. That's enough. Don't do those ugly things again in the future. Cao Boyi looked at her coldly. With today's lesson, he expected that Director Cheen Winman wouldn't cause any more trouble from now on, and he could consider himself firmly established at Xiangnan University. Thank you. Director Cheen Winman inexplicably said thank you and dragged her scarred body out of the convenience store. Back in the car, she sat in the driver's seat. The glass clearly reflected her beautiful, stunning face, but a strange, indescribable feeling welled up in her heart, as if this face didn't belong to her. Cao Boyi closed the shop door and returned home. Cheen Meyer was lying on the sofa watching TV, holding a bag of potato chips, her black-stocking calves crossed casually. Her expression held a hint of displeasure. Where did you go? Why are you only back now? I want to play with your sister. Cao Boyi muttered under his breath. Play with my sister? What do you mean by that? Cheen Meyer pouted, thinking that Cao Boyi was just dissatisfied because she had been squeezing him for too long. However, the more he was like this, the more satisfied she felt. Cheen Meyer looked proud. The company has been registered, and the office space has been rented. When can we open for business, boss? I'm still waiting for you to pay my salary. Cao Boyi slapped his forehead. He had been so busy dealing with Su Shiji and the others that he had almost forgotten about this. He opened his phone and checked his stock account. The balance had reached over 8.4 million. This money might sound like a lot, but Cao Boyi knew that in the eyes of the truly wealthy, it was nothing. Having been reborn with the advantage of foresight, he couldn't just live out the rest of his life in mediocrity. Not bad, Secretary Cheen. Cao Boyi couldn't help but praise her. Cheen Meyer's ability to get things done was indeed strong. Tomorrow, post the recruitment notice. Hire 2 programmers. You can relax the requirements. They don't need work experience or anything like that. The gameplay of Sheep a Sheep is very simple. It's just a basic elimination game, so developing it isn't difficult. The reason it became popular was because of its social attributes, adding regional rankings and spreading like a virus. Even though it was 10 years ago, he assumed the effect wouldn't be any worse. Little brother, are you sure you're starting company? This isn't playing house. Meyer looked at her in disbelief. When other companies recruit, they usually list a bunch of requirements like education and work experience. But with Cao Boyi, there was nothing at all. It was like a ragtag team. It's not needed. Cao Boyi waved his hand and explained with a smile. Just pick people who are honest and reliable. Have them come meet me when the time comes. For salary and benefits, follow the market standard and increase it by 20%. He transferred 100,000 yuan to Meyer for company development, then went back to his room to continue sleeping. Just as he lay down on the bed, his phone notification chimed. Ding dong. Cao Boyi instinctively unlocked his phone. The screen lit up, and a friend request appeared before his eyes. At a single glance, Cao Boyi recognized the woman in the profile picture wearing a professional suit. Director Qin Wenman? Why is she adding me? Could it be that she's starting to make trouble again? Cao Boyi frowned, muttering to himself. At this very moment, Director Qin Wenman was lying on the big bed in her bedroom, while her husband was already fast asleep beside her. She was wearing long-sleeved silk pajamas, wrapping herself up tightly, afraid that her husband would see the scars on her body. Old Sue, Director Qin Wenman asked tentatively twice. After confirming that her husband was sound asleep, the image of the convenience store uncontrollably flooded her brain. She subconsciously twisted her legs, forcibly suppressing the intense sense of immorality in her heart, and held her phone to send a message to Cao Boyi. Man, what are you doing? Are you asleep? Cao Boyi was a little confused by this. What are you doing? Message. According to Meng's new book, the underlying meaning when a woman says this is that she misses you. But coming from Director Qin Wenman, it felt bizarre no matter how he thought about it. Cao Boyi. Not yet, is something up? Director Qin Wenman lay on her side in bed, holding her phone, eyes fixed on the screen. She glanced at her slender fingers, then quietly reached under the covers, her mind uncontrollably conjuring up Cao Boyi's image. Cao Boyi just felt it was inexplicable, and after waiting a long time for a reply, he fell asleep on his own. Early the next morning, after washing up, Cao Boyi went to the kitchen to get busy. Come quickly and eat some noodles. My noodle-making skills are top tier. Cao Boyi carried 2 steaming bowls of shredded meat mixed noodles and knocked on Meyer's door. Meyer opened the door with sleepy eyes, instantly attracted by the aroma drifting from the dining room. Wow, what is that? It smells so good. She quickly brushed her teeth, couldn't wait to pick up her chopsticks and take a bite, her eyes instantly lighting up. Boss, your cooking is amazing. These noodles are delicious. Let's just enter the catering industry. Cao Boyi rolled his eyes and reached out to flick her on the head. Eat quickly. Then we're going to the company to check on the results of your work. Having completely let himself go, Cao Boyi prepared to check on the company's situation. He wouldn't be participating in military training or anything like that. After finishing the noodles, Meyer went to her room to change clothes. She walked out wearing a beige professional suit, the skirt hem 3 inches above her knees, her legs wrapped in sheer black silk stockings. So beautiful! Cao Boyi couldn't help but praise. The Qin sisters' figures and looks were truly impeccable. It was just that compared to the sisters' heaving bosom, the younger sisters seemed a bit plain. But that wasn't a drawback. The 2 sisters complemented each other perfectly. The 2 went downstairs together and got into the Mercedes-Benz. As the car drove out of the underground garage, Cao Boyi glanced at the rearview mirror. A silver-gray van was parked behind them. Star City Technology Park is located on the far west side of the city. They took the elevator to the 21st floor, walked through the company entrance, and the spacious, bright office area came into view. Computers were placed on the neat office desks. Secretary Qin, you've done well. Cao Boyi lightly patted Meyer's buttocks, provoking a coy rebuke from her. What are you doing? Be serious. Cao Boyi was very satisfied with the company's environment. It wasn't large, but it was enough, as the company had only just started. Putting aside the urge to play office secretary games, Cao Boyi took Meyer back to the car, preparing to go to the job market to recruit. Just as they left the parking lot, Cao Boyi subconsciously glanced at the rearview mirror. A silver-white van was following them at a distance. 3608. Cao Boyi silently recited the license plate number, withdrew his gaze, and tapped his fingers lightly on the steering wheel. Meyer in the passenger seat was touching up her makeup and looked up upon hearing this. Fasten your seatbelt. Meyer was taken aback, subconsciously did as told, and only then reacted, turning to look at him. What's wrong? Cao Boyi didn't answer, just slowly increased speed. The van behind also increased speed. He changed lanes, and the van changed lanes too. He slowed down, and the van followed suit. Meyer finally noticed something was wrong, looked back, her face turning slightly pale. Cao Boyi? It's fine. Cao Boyi's voice was very calm, as if he were talking about the nice weather. Seat tight. He suddenly jerked the steering wheel, and the car turned into a small alley. The van clearly hadn't expected this move. It took 2 seconds to react, but the alley entrance was too narrow, and it got stuck there, unable to move forward or backward. Cao Boyi watched the van in a dilemma from the rearview mirror and narrowed his eyes. We've run into trouble. Huh? Meyer hadn't recovered from the thrill of a moment ago. Trouble? What trouble? We were being followed, and the other party seems to have ill intentions. Before he finished speaking, he suddenly saw the side door of the van open. A young man stepped out. He was in his early 20s, with dyed yellow hair, prominent cheekbones, thin like a monkey, and his face was full of malice. Stay in the car and don't move. Cao Boyi gave an instruction, then opened the car door and swaggered out. The young man pretended not to see him, turned his head to the side, and was talking to someone on the phone, unsure of what he was saying. What the hell are you being so sneaky for? Cao Boyi snatched the phone, his gaze like a torch, sizing him up from head to toe. Who are you? I don't know you. The young man looked panicked. He had been very careful the whole way, never expecting the other party to have discovered him. Stop pretending. Who sent you? Cao Boyi looked at him coldly, his eyes filled with killing intent. After his body was strengthened, his memory had also become terrifyingly good. He had long since memorized the other party's license plate number. The young man knew things were exposed, so he stopped acting and pulled a folding dagger from his pocket. With an arm as thin as a twig, he lunged forward. Cao Boyi's eyes sharpened, and he moved accordingly. He didn't dodge. Instead, he stepped forward to meet him. The cold light of the dagger traced an arc in the air, but before it could land, Cao Boyi's left hand had already gripped his wrist. Only a crisp crack sound was heard, and the young man's wrist was dislocated on the spot. Cao Boyi threw a backhand punch, smashing it fiercely towards his temple. The young man was no pushover either. He kicked back hard with his rear leg, his body dodging sideways in an extremely bizarre posture. Interesting. Cao Boyi raised an eyebrow, not expecting the other party to actually have some skills and be able to dodge his attack. One had to know that his body had been strengthened by the system, and his speed and strength far exceeded those of an ordinary person. Cao Boyi didn't give him a chance to react, kicking the thin monkey in the back of the knee, forcing him to kneel on one leg. Then he quickly leaned down, grabbed the dagger that had fallen to the ground, and held it 3 millimeters above his eyelid. Oh, what are you doing? The young man was immediately terrified, eyes wide open. Let me go quickly, this is against the law. He saw killing intent in Cao Boyi's sharp eyes, a feeling as if he had walked out of hell. Speak quickly, who are you? The dagger in Cao Boyi's hand moved down, sliding along his brow bone to his cheek, then to his chin, and finally stopping beside his Adam's apple. Ah! The young man's scream echoed in the empty room. I'll talk, I'll say it. I am